Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
And welcome into the Monday edition of Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody's doing well. Had a great weekend. Happy New Year to everyone out there. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How we doing?
Super. Not as good as the Green Bay Packers, though.
Whew, man, let me tell you. Let me just go ahead and start the show. That was one of the greater football weekends of my life. It was awesome. Tennessee Volunteers dismantling Clemson, 2 phenomenal college football semifinal games, and then the Green Bay Packers just utter destruction of the Minnesota Vikings last night. That's a top-tier football weekend, Rexrode. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yeah, seriously. And I'd say every single thing in that is a surprise to some point. I did not expect Tennessee to handle Clemson like that. Definitely did not expect 2 classic all-time incredible games. And I thought maybe the Vikings. I mean, are the Vikings the worst 12-4 team in the history of football? I don't know.
They looked bad yesterday.
I don't. But the Pack is, they are hot, man.
Packer hot. It's going to be Packers-Lions probably on Sunday Night Football to see who gets into the playoffs. It's going to be awesome.
Robby versus Joe.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Joe's back in there.
It's Robby and Joe versus all the demons.
Michelle, good morning. How are you?
Doing well this morning. Joe, also, too, you always will be associated with the Lions, even if you try to deassociate.
That's true.
Or disassociate. Yeah. Wow, it's early. I just said deassociate.
We're going to go with it.
Actually, it's kind of a good word. You may have invented a good word. Yeah, look, that's fine. I'm happy to be identified with them. I just want to be identified with hating and rooting against them. So if I have to buy a cheesehead for this weekend, I will.
Okay, we'll see
Yes,
what
you
happens.
do.
See what happens on that front. Joe, we know that the Titans and Jags squaring off on Saturday night. We figured that it would be either a Saturday primetime game or a Sunday primetime game, and judging by my ESPN app, it's going to be Saturday night at 7:15 for the Titans and the Jags. And I would assume, although it's not been made official yet, that Packers-Lions will be the Sunday night game. They are waiting on the results of the Bills and Bengals tonight to make that time official on Sunday. But we know Packers-Lions will be Sunday, and we know the Titans-Jags will be on Saturday coming up. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and please explain it to me like I'm a child why they're waiting to announce Packers-Lions.
Could not tell you. I don't know. I don't know what they're waiting on there, but apparently they're waiting on that to be after tonight. Couldn't tell you.
Okay. That'll be and it's already some interesting reaction out there to the Titans time. There's a lot of people screaming about how the NFL doesn't care about competitive balance after they saw this, time, because the Titans have 3 more days of rest and preparation than the Jaguars. I don't know how to break it to these people, but like if it was Sunday, it would be the same thing. They would have 3 days difference. Like it's just how it was always in the schedule. I mean, it sucks. It's, if you're going to have a Thursday night game the week before the last week, someone's going to get an advantage. But like we're acting like this is new information now.
Yeah, I don't know what people thought was going to happen on that scenario, one way or the other. Now, I will say, I guess the one part that if you're a Jags fan upsets you is like, okay, well they have more days to prepare, and now we have a Saturday game instead of a Sunday game, and we have less days to prepare than we normally would. But other than that, like you said, it's the same setup that would be. And the Jags yesterday, they destroyed the Texans, and they got their guys out of there when that game was over yesterday. So I think they're going to be fine moving forward.
Yeah, it's the same difference. That's true. I guess like if it was a Sunday game, then at least they would have the normal week, and it would just be an advantage, but it would still be that extra day for the Titans too. I think some people are missing that, like it's three, and it's like either way, it's three days difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine.
Uh,
Whatever.
Joe, I don't know that the Jeff Saturday experience in Indianapolis is going to continue all that much longer. I mean, they got beat 38-10 yesterday by the Giants. And look, we know that they're bad, and we've known that they're bad. But really, after that first game, after the first win for Jeff Saturday of the first week that he took over, they have looked especially bad ever since then. And, I'm not going to, I guess, count anything out of the realm of possibility when Jim Irsay is the one making decisions, but I think I would be pretty surprised if the Jeff Saturday era continued into next season for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know it's been bad. So, I think logically, Ursay should be looking for someone who has, coached
Could be
to
that.
coach his team. But so I don't. I guess I'd maybe go a little less than 50%. But it's also sounded like he really, loves the guy and wants him to be part of things. I'm keeping an open mind on where that could go. And Ballard too. Are we certain Ballard's coming back? Did he actually say that for sure?
Yeah, he said Ballard's coming back. Yeah.
He did say Ballard's coming back. Yeah. It's wild. Saturday and Levis together next year, you know. Although Titans fans have to worry about, Jacksonville is the primary concern, that would still be what a joy that would be for Titans fans to see a Levis Saturday combo.
I have
Next year.
discovered the reasoning for holding off on naming Packers Lions Sunday Night Football. If the
Okay.
Bengals lose tonight, next week's Bengals Ravens game will be for the division title. So that is why they're holding off.
Yeah, I get that, but it would be weird for me that they would choose that still over a get in the playoff game.
And they may not. I don't
But
know. Maybe they're just leaving it up to I don't know.
leaving it up, leaving the decision open. But here's another thing. To me, they totally screwed this up. If you put Lions Packers on Saturday night, those teams are basically playing to get in the playoffs. They don't know the Seattle. Now, of course, the Green Bay gets in regardless if they win,
Correct.
but the Lions don't know the Seattle result.
Right.
So really, that would be the perfect game to put on Saturday. And then, if the Lions win, then they have to wait and root against Seattle the next day. But now the way it is, you're going to know the Lions may be eliminated by the time they play. So I think it's really stupid by the TV people.
Yeah, I would agree. So maybe not looking at the whole picture there if you're the TV people. But Titans and Jags will be on Saturday Night Football. We'll obviously have a lot to get into on that front this week, and we'll have a lot to get into on that front today as well as the show goes along. Joe, I was watching the two college football playoff games on Saturday, and we'll get into the games themselves coming up a little bit later in the show today. But I'm watching C.J. Stroud sling the football around against that Georgia defense on Saturday, and I did watch a little bit of the Bama Kansas State game earlier in the day, and how anybody could have quarterbacks ahead of Bryce Young and or C.J. Stroud in this draft coming up is beyond me. Like, those two guys we knew Bryce Young, and obviously it wasn't a college football playoff game, but we knew Bryce Young was unbelievable. What C.J. Stroud did against that Georgia defense was pretty insane on Saturday night.
No, it was. I got to say, I think of him differently now. I've kind of. It's not like I haven't. We've all seen C.J. Stroud look really good and put up huge numbers. Anybody who watched like the Rose Bowl last year, for example, it was just. But also at times, it's like he's just out there playing catch. There's just been a lot of games in his career, I think, where like the conditions are so perfect. And still, the other day, like I agree with you, and yet I also think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is flat out the best. Jalen Hyatt deserved to win the Blitnikoff, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is like
He's
I
stud.
have more. He's incredible. But I tell you what, if you like Houston, I was thinking about the Houston Texans front office texting each other, and like the text thread during that game, like, guys, we sure about Bryce? Are we sure?
Yeah.
And I think I'd still take Bryce Young. I think he's incredible, and but man, Stroud obviously a little bit bigger, and he's just prototypical. And when he breaks, he never runs. That's the thing. He's never been a running quarterback at all. And he makes some of those plays like he did in that game. What a gamer. I mean, that was incredible. I think it is a really fascinating debate for first overall pick. Now, maybe we've heard from John McClain, and I think others who have kind of suggested like they're pretty settled on Bryce Young. But there's a long way to go in this process too. I think CJ Stroud made his case, and I'm with you. I mean, it's those two, and then let's talk about other people.
Yeah, I mean they were incredible on Saturday. It was an incredible day of college football on Saturday, and we'll have a lot to get into on that front. We'll get into the Tennessee and Clemson game coming up next as well. Take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. This is the launch day of our new lineup here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. So we here on Robby and Rexrode going from 6 to 9 a.m. today. Chase and Michelle taking over for their inaugural show from 9 to 11, so looking forward to that. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace debuting from 11 to 2 today, and then Stillman and company at their normal time from 2 to 6. So a new schedule today here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and we are looking forward to taking you along with us for the ride here today. We'll get into the Vols coming up next and their beatdown against Clemson in the Orange Bowl. Joe Rexrode was there. We'll get his thoughts on the performance of Joe Milton and what an 11-2 season means for the Vols as they cap things off on Friday night with a win in the Orange Bowl. That's coming up next. Let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is sign up with promo code ROB. The Packers and the Lions playing for a playoff spot on the line this weekend. The Pack are hot. They looked really good yesterday. I'll go with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to win that game, but you can take it any way you want to take it. Just make sure you do it on FanDuel Sportsbook, all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. They've got great live betting options every single day, and when you win, you'll get your winnings paid quickly. So sign up today with promo code ROB for your no-sweat first bet. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Chase, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of them.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Edley's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared with my friends at Hiller. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. Get a free 55-inch TV, Apple iPad, Solo Stove, or Nintendo Switch when you purchase new whole home generators or select new HVAC systems. Or a free 55-inch TV, Nintendo Switch, or Solo Stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of necessary home replacements, so call Hiller. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Stock up and save big now, store-wide at the Lowe's Truckload event. For a limited time, save up to 50% on select tools and accessories from the brands you trust. And buy a DeWalt 12-inch dual-bevel miter saw and get an adjustable stand for free. Plus, get deals on appliances, bath, and more. Head to your local Lowe's or visit Lowe's.com to shop the Truckload event today. While supplies last, selection varies by location. Valid 12/29 through 1/11.
Is that a horse?
Actually, it's a wild stallion. Since Navy Federal Credit Union's Platinum Card made it easier to tame our holiday debt, I wanted to see if I could tame something else.
Uh-huh.
Help me saddle up. I need to pick the kids up from school.
With a low intro APR on balance transfers, the Platinum Credit Card lets you take control of your debt. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/Platinum offer. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
Anyone want to tell me what happened?
Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to thegamenashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook today and every day. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. Tennessee Superbook is the #1 sports book in Las Vegas. We are live from the 102.5 The Game studio, sponsored by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. The Tennessee Vols on Friday night, they get it done in the Orange Bowl. They take down the Clemson Tigers, 31-14, the final score in South Florida. Tennessee was really in control of that game for basically the whole time. Joe Milton, 19 of 28, 251 yards, 3 touchdown passes on the night. Jalen Wright with 89 yards on the ground. Squirrel White leading the way receiving for Tennessee, 9 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown on the night. And, Joe, you were there for the game and were in attendance down there in South Florida. Tennessee really dismantling Clemson and defensively putting together an excellent performance led by Aaron Beasley on Friday night. What did you make of Tennessee's win against Clemson, especially in the fashion that they did it with a convincing win, 31-14 against the ACC champs?
It was a very weird game because I felt like they were actually outplayed a lot of the night. And then, Clemson Clemson botching, the fake field goal and just missing some field goals. Like, guy missed 2 field goals all year. Potter missed 2 field goals, and he missed 3 in the first half. So they botched 4 trips into the Tennessee territory, and Tennessee had 5 3-and-outs in this game, which that's a lot of 3-and-outs for Tennessee football, man. Like, we are not used to seeing that, and yet it turns out to be a rout. And look, I think the biggest takeaway from this game is the biggest thing that we went into the game talking about. It's Joe Milton and a guy who I don't think anybody can argue otherwise has made progress. And he made especially, I'd say, 3 throws in that game that were like, whoa. But then of course he also was not overthrowing the deep shots. So you're like, okay, and you can see where he's got a chance to be really good next year. So, I think ultimately it was a very positive takeaway from him, but not perfect. And certainly the offense had its issues. Also, the offense missing its top 2 receivers. Good to remember. The top 2 guys, I think, from next year, though, made big plays in this game, and that's what it's going to be. And then Tennessee's defense, I think you have to give them a lot of credit. Tim Banks and his defense, they give up 63 to South Carolina. It's about as bad as it can be. It's just bad. And in the next 6 quarters of football, they give up 3 points. When it comes down to the situational football was back for Tennessee, and in this game in particular, they got after the freshman quarterback. They made big plays. Yeah, they gave up some plays, and my gosh, they've got to turn their heads around in those deep shots. They got to work on that, man. The PI, but that's the great thing about college football. You know what? Grab a guy, 15 yards. Okay, fine. I think they deserve a lot of credit. Aaron Beasley, you could make a case for him to be the MVP of that game, and I thought he would be at one point. He was great all over the place. And I just think, Danico Slaughter also, we're talking about defensive backs. They got some guys who made some plays. When that guy is healthy and right, boy, does he fly around and hit people. So overall, you're talking about beating Clemson, LSU, and Bama, as Heupel said after the game, 3 of the last 4 national champions. Like, the Alabama game will live on, as you know, Robby, as a Tennessee fan. Like, that is going to be just a moment in time. But the whole thing, the whole season, who the heck would have ever picked this team to go 11-2, win the Orange Bowl, and beat Clemson, Bama, in particular, Clemson and Bama? Yeah, no, it was incredibly impressive. 11-2. Josh Heupel was pretty adamant after the game that the best is still yet to come for Tennessee football. He said that probably 5 or 6 times after the game. But you can't help but walk away impressed with Joe Milton and the way that he played.
defensively, especially when they got into the red zone. I mean, they really just closed the door on Clemson. And look, Clemson, they had some self-inflicted wounds. I mean, you mentioned the fake punt. I mean, I thought the opportunity to pitch that ball was there, and had they done it on that play, you're probably picking up the first down. Cade Klubnik at the end of the first half, making a freshman play where there's, you don't have any timeouts. If you throw the ball away, you can at least go try another field goal, and he runs it up the gut, gets tackled in bounds, and no time to go up and spike the ball. So Clemson certainly helped Tennessee out a little bit with their self-inflicted wounds that they had. But overall, I mean, I just thought a really impressive performance defensively. And, Joe, you talked about this heading into the game, and I think it's pretty clear after watching him play in a starting role, Squirrel White's going to be pretty darn good. They're high on Squirrel White, and 9 catches, 108 yards, the 1 touchdown. They had the deep connection, the 50-yarder with him and Joe Milton. That kid's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, when you see a freshman who can do what he does already, and you think about then a great offseason, and it's another thing that's really interesting about him, and this goes back to early enrolling and everything. Alex Golish, at one point, saying he's basically like talking about his maturity. Like, I don't know that I've seen too many players that young who are that focused on school and like everything, trying to be great. You hear things like that, usually that's a really good sign. Sometimes it takes, like you said, like Jalen Hyatt, so learning the hard way and all that stuff. But this kid is, I think he's the next, we'll see what is the ceiling, but I think it's pretty high. And I also think that Brew McCoy, his physicality, that's a great combo. I tell you what, I mean, we're going to sit here, and I'm going to be guilty of this too, and maybe it's the right way to think about it. We're going to be finding like the guy who should replace Ramel Keaton,
Kid's pretty good.
Yeah, I think you're okay with him. I mean, the guy can play, and that play, to me, that was the play of the game. The 2 touchdown passes in the red zone were like, holy crap throws by Joe Milton. Because again, it's not just, I think I was texting somebody, about this, over the weekend, who's like, yeah, I know he has a cannon arm, but he's not accurate. I'm like, no, that's not true. Again, those passes are like, I think he can throw with pinpoint accuracy, and those red zone throws, seeing it and ripping it like that, whew, man. But the big play of the game was that 3rd and 9 to Keaton over the middle, where he kind of had to adjust. And if that isn't converted, who knows where this game goes? The game was going Clemson's way, and instead, that basically the next play blows it open.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the 3rd and 9 that you pick up to Keaton right over the middle there, and I thought that was one of his best throws of the night. And then by the time I'm finished tweeting about how that was a great throw by Joe Milton, the ball's in the end zone. So I mean, it's back-to-back plays there from Milton to Keaton there. And look, if you go back, and I think Keaton tweeted it out, I think it was yesterday. Like, if you go back and watch the route that Keaton ran on that touchdown play, I mean, it was unbelievable. He faked kind of the inside cut there, and Clemson bit hard, and he was wide open going down the sideline. And to his credit, like you said, Joe Milton wasn't perfect in the game, Joe. He missed, the short throw kind of over the middle there. That could have been a first down on that stretch where they had 5 3-and-outs. But, I mean, the deep ball to Squirrel White was a great ball. The deep ball to Keaton was a great ball. I mean, he hit some deep shots in that game, and not only did he hit those deep shots, he put a little loft on it, put a little air on it, and the receiver running right underneath it, which was, as we know, Joe, not always the case with a Joe Milton pass.
No, look, I feel like, and again, we talked about it before. I mean, he already had thrown a few this year that were like, oh, okay, that's some loft along with throwing it a country mile. But here again, I mean, I think, he was able to kind of harness the adrenaline and put that loft under it, and then it's just such a weapon. I mean, basically, he missed a few in the Vanderbilt game, after hitting the one early, and you're like, oh boy. But other than that, I mean, that's it this year. For the most part, he has looked good doing that along with everything else. So I'm fascinated to see where it goes with him. it's still like it's asking so much to try to be, to try to duplicate or be in the same vicinity of what Hendon Hooker did, especially this last year. And you're talking about right up there as with the greatest quarterback seasons Tennessee football's ever seen. But man, I'm also fascinated to see what these coaches do, and I do think Joey Halzle will be named OC. Just you can do some things with that arm that like you can't even try to think about doing with other quarterbacks. It's gonna be fun to watch. I don't know if it's gonna be consistent enough, and maybe again, I had these arguments with some other people who are down on Joe Milton. Like if they don't get somebody in the portal, he's going to cost them a game or two. Maybe, I mean, maybe that's true. But I also feel like um, he is a really good leader too, and he's got a swagger about him that's just it's infectious, man. It's going to be whatever it is, and he's got an off season now to get up to speed. And I know it's a competition, but he's going to be the starter, and whatever it is going to be fun to watch. That I feel confident in.
Well, it's no question. It's going to be fun. I wanted to see in this game, like, could he be consistent enough, and could he make enough throws where if you're a Tennessee fan watching the game, you say, okay, I can see it. I feel good about it as him being the starting quarterback heading into next year. And I think the answer is yes. Like you said, it wasn't perfect, and I have no idea. Nico may come into fall camp and just be amazing, and they may not have a choice. I have no idea. But I think it's going to be Joe Milton starting next year, at least to begin with. And, it wasn't perfect. They had some 3-and-outs. It was difficult at times, especially earlier in the game, to run the ball against Clemson. And then as the game went on, they started to get that rolling a little bit, especially with Jalen Wright going in there and breaking that 42-yarder. But I just thought Joe Milton, for the most part, I mean, the decision-making was really good. And he's not turning the ball over. That's the big thing. I mean, think about his season. When he does make mistakes, he's putting the ball at least in a spot where the other team's not getting it. And you can't overrate that. As long as you're not turning the ball over, you're not hurting your team as bad as you could be when you miss.
No, for sure. I mean, he had one that could have been picked, but Keaton also slipped on that play. Yeah. So, I don't know. It was hard to. But that's a huge, huge deal. That's a huge thing that Hooker did too. I will say a couple things. I still think as a runner, that's one thing where you're going to have a step down. Like Hooker is just quicker, and shifty. And Milton, when he gets going, is a monster. Like the QB power with him is going to be hell on people. But in the pocket, he took some sacks. Like there's some things to work on. But I don't understand why Tennessee fans. And I get it. Like the five-star player. Quick story for you. So after the game, we actually went back to Ubben and I and Mike Wilson's other people went back to the hotel to write because it was like, it was like 1:30 after we're done with the interviews. Like, well, may as well back. They had like a nice breakfast buffet back at the hotel.
Oh yeah.
So we went back there and wrote. There was a Tennessee fan who came up to Ubben and me and introduced themselves. Like, hey, I really like reading stuff on the Athletic and everything. And immediately went into so. It should be Nico, right? I'm like, no, why? No, it shouldn't be Nico. But that's just, I mean, look, again, unknown is undefeated, 6'6", California 5-star quarterback. Like, I get the fascination, but I'm like, after watching that game, wouldn't that? I do think that there have to be more Tennessee fans who are swayed around the Joe Milton camp after that game, right?
Well, look, I'll tell you, for me, like he changed my mind a little bit. Like I had gotten to the point where I felt pretty good that he was going to be the starter, at least to start with next year. I wondered what would that mean? Like, how could you operate the offense? And the receiving corps part of that, right? Square White, Brew McCoy, Ramel Keaton. Like, what's that going to look like with the losses that you're going to have with Hooker, Tillman, and Hyatt? And like you said, it wasn't perfect, but, I mean, there were times they looked pretty darn good out there offensively. 615-737-1025. We'll have more on Tennessee's win against Clemson coming up next. We'll also get into the college football playoff semifinals, a wild weekend of college football. All that ahead. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge,
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
passion,
Make no mistake about it, he absolutely has to hit the ground running.
and expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Crane Works on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
Ring in the new year with Electronic Express. Come into any of our convenient locations for the guaranteed lowest prices on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, KitchenAid, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop in-store or online and get free express delivery on most items. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared. Are you looking to move? If so, do yourself a favor and reach out to my friends at TriStar Moving. You can be assured your move will be stress-free because they've got new utility vans to help with pack jobs to separate your high-value or fragile items from the bulk of your furniture, and their movers are carefully picked and highly trained. No one in the game is doing this. TriStar Moving is raising the standard in the moving industry. When you're ready to move, give them a call. TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, or online at nationalmoving.org/radio, and tell them Jared Stillman referred you for 10% off. That's TriStar Moving.
When that door closed behind me and I was free, the main thing I wanted to do was just re-enter society, get a job, and see my family.
It's okay.
There's a new state office of re-entry in Tennessee, specifically to help folks like me get jobs. Go to tnworkready.com or visit your local American Job Center. Re-entry is a normal thing, and it's okay.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
tnworkready.com.
So many choices. Be careful. She is dangerously seductive. Tastes too good to be whiskey. Oil Fire Whiskey is now in Tennessee. If they don't have it, ask them to get it or go somewhere else. Oil Fire. There is nothing quite like it.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Penny Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning. Take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Tennessee takes down Clemson on Friday night, 31-14 in the Orange Bowl. The Vols finished the season 11-2, so the best Tennessee football season in a long time taking place this year. Discussing the game and what it means for the future of this Tennessee team. Joe Milton, 19 of 28, 251 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game on Friday night. Squirrel White, 9 catches, 108 yards and a touchdown. And, Joe, another guy that I was wondering how he would look in this game that has an NFL future, and I was impressed that he decided to play. Byron Young did well for himself in this game, 2 sacks for the Vols, and he looked pretty disruptive out there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see someone like him decide to, play one more game and play well. He's a good player. He didn't have huge numbers this year, not a finished product. I'll be interested to see where he goes. But, man, that guy, and I know, my gosh. I think I wrote about his Dollar General thing last year. And for those who don't know, he worked at Dollar General, which is just, he also worked at Circle K, by the way, but yeah. He's a guy who, was not really a prospect, had gone to like this kind of prep school, and it turned out to be like weird. And he was basically just out of football, working at Dollar General, just hoping to, someone to give him a look. And he goes from that to, basically a year at another prep school, and like everybody wants him, or junior college. I forget now, but he turns into this tremendous prospect, and he's just, I think when people go through real life experiences like he has, like there's a lot of perspective that you have, as opposed to maybe just being like the 5-star who is coddled all along. And he's an impressive guy. It's going to be fun to watch him see what he does in the NFL.
What did you think of Cade Klubnik's night? Obviously, Clemson had to throw the ball a lot. They threw the ball 54 times. They ran over 100 plays. So that offense was out there a lot for Clemson on Friday night. What did you make of Cade Klubnik, the young freshman for Clemson?
Yeah, he's talented for sure. I thought, there were some times when he ran the ball where you could really see there's one thing that I think, they'll be better there than with DJU, who, was a powerful runner. But Klubnik he's good, and he's very talented thrower of the football. There was some pocket presence. He looked like a freshman issues that night for sure, I just thought there were times where he's just kind of backpedaling, throwing off his back foot, and like you said, like the lack of awareness at the end of the first half. There's a lot to work with there, but he looked like a freshman. Tennessee took advantage of his inexperience and just really got after him for the most part. I mean, their best offense really was just throw it up and try to get a PI. But at the same time, that Tennessee defense, when it got to the point where that 3rd and 9 throw from Milton to Ramel Keaton really, kept him alive, and then they hit the bomb the next play. The Tennessee defense was exhausted, and this is the problem. This is why, like, statistically, I still like you have to put an asterisk next to defenses that are paired with this offense, because they have 3 and outs that last 5 seconds, that take 5 seconds off the clock, and then you guys, when you have to play that many plays, you have to keep that in mind with the Tennessee defense. But overall, if you get stops in the red zone and you get after the quarterback, that's your formula.
Joe, to put a bow on the Orange Bowl discussion, Tennessee gets the win, and it's a dominant win on the scoreboard against a program that has been an upper echelon program in college football for the past decade. They finished the season 11-2. You feel good about Joe Milton and the way that he played, and some of the freshmen that are stepping up, like Squirrel White. The recruiting has gone well. How do you, now that it's done, describe the season for Josh Heupel, this program in year 2, and where Tennessee football is headed, in your opinion?
Well, just incredibly. Just the whole thing of Heupel in 2 years, just an incredible job. I know he didn't win Coach of the Year. I think he was the clear favorite this year until the very end. And look, I think the right guy won. I mean, Sonny Dykes, my gosh, what he's done at TCU.
Yeah.
It's interesting too when you think about that. It's like, this last weekend kind of showed us, like, okay, it actually doesn't have to be blowouts for the obvious programs every time. Maybe we are entering an era of more parity. I certainly hope so. It was amazing to see good games, but certainly with Tennessee, I think there's every reason to expect Tennessee football to be at the table now, because the table's getting bigger. But even in the context of, like, can you be a top program in the SEC? Can you compete with the top programs for players, on the field on Saturday, every fall? Next year, Georgia is going to have a different look. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good look. But they're coming into Knoxville. I think that it's the brightest outlook for Tennessee football. I think it's the same thing. We keep going back all year long, 20 years, 20 plus years. And I think that's what it is. You tell me, as a Tennessee fan, when's the last time you felt this good about the future? Like, you have a coach who knows what he's doing. There's massive momentum. The recruiting landscape has changed, but Tennessee has been out front on that. So I think the AD is a really smart guy, and I think they're going to, capitalize in every way that they can on the fan base they have, and then the tradition and history. And I think that Tennessee football is going to be playing for national championships in the years to come.
Yep, it's the best that they've looked in a long, long time, 20 years. Like you said, it just feels like there are competent people running the program right now. And I gotta say, it's going to be really interesting to see where they take it from here. I don't know that they're going to be able to match next year what they did this year, but if you can keep, the recruiting momentum up and you can continue to develop guys the way that they have, I mean, they're going to be right in the mix as they move forward here. The college football playoff semifinals underway on Saturday, Joe, and look, I got to say, that was, I think, certainly the best college football semifinal day in the history of the college football playoff. You can make an argument, and I know there have been some good national championship games, but you can make an argument that Saturday was the best day in the history of the college football playoff. I mean, it was awesome. TCU takes down Michigan 51-45 in an epic game, and I thought it would be hard to top that one. And I think Georgia and Ohio State might have. Georgia wins 42-41 on Saturday. Two great games in the college football semifinal.
Yeah, I think it easily was the best. I mean, the fact that you have 8 hours of football like that, I'm trying to think. I mean, the best national championship would probably be the Georgia-Bama game, right?
Correct.
Two at the buzzer. There was an Alabama-Clemson game where Clemson got away with an incredible OPI to win that game. But yeah, like you said, some great games in the title game. You've had the occasional great game in the semifinal. The Oklahoma-Georgia Rose Bowl was incredible, but no, man, that was an unbelievable day of football. And I think, I mean, my prevailing takeaway. Well, first of all, I'm going to tip of the cap to you because you called TCU beating Michigan. I did not think that was going to happen. Nice call. And you also said there's no chance Ohio State's going to hang with Georgia. So
I immediately washed it out.
Yeah, it doesn't wash it out, but I just want to make sure we get that out there too.
I also said that too.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I thought with Stroud and their talent, like okay, like you can't rule that out. I think here's one thing that some of my friends who cover Michigan told me, after that win, and I think it kind of rings true now. Like Michigan hammered Ohio State in that game, but that was also a game that Ohio State was in total command of, and then it just blew up on them, and you gave up a bomb and another bomb and a zero blitz, and it's like, and then a long run, and it's like, holy crap! And I mean, there's the genesis of the Vrabel column, but I think Ohio State probably beats Michigan 7 or 8 times out of 10. I think that they're still so talented, and they're talented to the extent of they were good enough to win it. I mean, I thought we were looking at this is just a replay of that 2014 Ohio State season where they get down to their third quarterback, and you think Alabama's just going to hammer them, and they come out and just kick their butt with Zeke Elliott and all those incredible. I mean, they're just an incredibly talented team. So there's one thing, but then I think my biggest takeaway is just TCU, man. What a story! Like they've turned this upside down. There's no way they should be able to do this. They should not be where they are, and yet look at them. I mean, Michigan made mistakes, but still was in great position to. I thought they were going to overtake them, and TCU answers every time. I can't. It's a mind-blowing job of coaching by a first-year coach for a team that had a losing record last year.
Yeah, I mean, the odds heading into the season to win the national championship for TCU were 200-1. 200-1 were the odds heading into the season, and they find themselves now in the national title game. Joe, I will say, I was thinking of you on Saturday night when Ohio State got up by 2 scores against Georgia, because I was like, all right, let's think about what all has transpired since Rexrode came out with this Vrabel article of Ohio State. Ohio State's in the playoff. They're about to take down Georgia, and the Titans haven't won a game since he came out with the article. What a time.
Seriously, I need to just shut my mouth. Actually, I almost tweeted this, and I was like, I just don't want to bring on more crap on myself. I almost tweeted at the end, Ryan Day needs to spend every cent he can bring Mike Vrabel in to be his defensive coordinator.
Also, Ryan Day and Ryan Porth look so similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I know.
Yeah,
I was watching the game, and I was also like, whoa.
It's freaky, man.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty weird. We'll take your thoughts on the college football playoff. What did you make of TCU's takedown of Michigan and an epic game between Ohio State and Georgia? We'll take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you missed the latest on Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
What's going to happen with this show? Derek and Willie aren't going anywhere. A question that I have been asked since day one, since I took over, is when are you going to give Caroline Fenton her own show? Well, I'm going to do that right now. Caroline is going to move into this role. She has done an awesome job with Stillman and Company. So I'm plucking her away to feature her a little bit more, and she deserves it. She's worked her butt off. She's been a great addition to the team, and I know she's at Sonny's Patio Pub right now. And Caroline, you deserve this, and I'm excited to hear Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace and all the potential that it has.
Well, thank you, Chaser, and thank you for believing in me and bringing me into this new role that I am so ready for.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota LO1 series is part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota LO1 series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. We'll get into the AFC playoff picture and the Titans and the Jags coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. We'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2 at 8 o'clock. So looking forward to all that coming up on the show. Right now discussing the college football playoff and taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, I will say, Georgia obviously continues their run. They get to 14-0. They got a good chance to win their second consecutive national title game. Stetson Bennett made some big plays in that game, also made some big mistakes in that game. But the thing that stands out to me, Joe, is that's 2 games in a row now, and albeit one of them in the SEC title game against LSU was pretty much over, and then LSU started to hit some big plays as that game went along. But that's 2 games in a row where statistically the numbers would bear out that Georgia's defense struggled, particularly against the pass, and the Ohio State game was much different from the LSU game. I mean, Ohio State was basically kicking their butt, throwing the ball the whole game, and that was with guys going down in the game, and then obviously the hit on Marvin Harrison Jr. at the end of the game, and that caused him to get out of the game. But Georgia's secondary the last couple of times out has been exposed a little bit by LSU, and then, of course, against Ohio State as well. What do you make of that and what it could mean for the national championship matchup between Georgia and TCU?
Yeah, well, it kind of goes to I think it kind of goes to the whole thing, like the one, look, this is it. It's just like one time to play a team. And what if you played it out 10 times? And especially, and I'm thinking about this in terms of Tennessee, because I will say another thing that crossed my mind, Robbie, Saturday was, boy, Tennessee with Hooker, Tennessee in its best form this year is good enough to be in this group, to be in one of these games today, and I really believe they were just, because of their offense. And, Georgia absolutely kicked their butt. No qualms about it on that day. But also, that was one of those days where home field meant so much in a football game. And I look at Georgia right now, and they look like a team that lost a million guys in the NFL last year. Like, this is what should happen, right? Like, you should look a little bit human and mortal when you have, and by the way, Nolan Smith standing there, he's out there at the coin toss, great leader. He's another top NFL prospect. That's a big loss. They look, and really they didn't look great against Georgia Tech either, by the way.
No.
For stretches of that game. So I think that they're all in the end. This defense lost an incredible amount of talent in the NFL. They had some fantastic performances, and that Tennessee performance is the one where you're like, okay, wow, did they really fall off at all? But yes, they have. And you think about Ohio State, their number one running back was not there. I mean, Travion Henderson is a special player. They don't have another guy like that. Smith and Jigba, along with losing Harrison, talking about first-round level receivers, not on the field, in the fourth quarter. I mean, even without all that, Ohio State went up and down the field on them. So some of it is just that Ohio State is an absurdly talented team. Also, give Ryan Port.
Yes, please give Port all the credit.
Port, the coach of Ohio State.
You put it in my head, Michelle. Give Ryan Day a lot of credit. Like, this is where he's great. He hit the game plan, the play calling, it was elite, right? And that's what he is. I mean, that's where he's great. The question remains with him. There's some other things that have eroded, I think, with the Buckeyes. And honestly, I will say I didn't like at the end. I think I didn't like what they did in not gaining any yardage there for their kicker. But overall, that was like, okay, there's why Vrabel wanted to hire him as his OC when he got the Titans job. That's what he is. And it's just an elite offensive group. Now the question I have is, can TCU shock again? I think one thing they did to Michigan, they're way more physical than Michigan expected defensively. They just didn't let them run on them like they thought. And then they were physical running it back at, one of the best defenses in the country. So what does that mean for this matchup? I don't buy that we're just about to see a gross blowout. I don't know how anybody can watch that TCU game and just dismiss them.
Well, I mean, look, the line on FanDuel Sportsbook right now is Georgia by 13.5. So they're expecting a 2-touchdown game for Georgia in this game. And I agree. Like, Max Duggan, I don't know that Max Duggan is going to be like, some NFL starting quarterback or a superstar out there. I have no idea what Max Duggan is going to be. But the guy the dude's tough, and he just makes some plays. And look, he made some mistakes on Saturday. I mean, he completed less than 50% of his passes. So it's not like he was just lighting it up out there, but he made some big plays in that game. And like you said, Joe, I mean, they ran the ball for 263 yards against a Michigan defense that's been stellar all year. So just big play after big play in that game. And I don't know, I know it unraveled on them a little bit against K-State in the title game, but there does kind of feel – I don't know if I want to call it like team of destiny feel, but there is a special kind of feeling to that TCU group this year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I hope they give us a good game because it would be – I mean, look, what have we been saying year after year? It's like this 14 playoff is just it's just blowout after blowout, and there's never – even if you'll have the occasional team that gets in there. I mean, that's what Michigan was last year, get blown out, Washington, whoever, they get blown out. But this is the team that sneaks in and now gets to the title game. And what if they actually give us a good title game? I think that'd be great.
They need to win.
They need to win. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It would be. I mean, like if they win, if TCU wins, that's the most surprising, shocking national champion since, I don't know. Someone tell me. I mean, we're going way back.
Yeah, you'd have to go way back.
Way back. I mean, I'm sure in the BCS era, but even in the BCS era, I can't remember a game where there was someone completely out of left field in it. It would be great for the sport, and I think it already has been to see what they did. And yeah, I'm with you. Like Duggan's a good player. He made really like twice. Jesse Minter, former Vanderbilt DC, who's in his first year as Michigan's DC, didn't have a great day. He threw those blitzes at him, and Duggan burned him twice with those touchdown passes that were really just huge plays in the game. And obviously, especially that long one, but the one in the red zone was a great play by a quarterback. And their defense hold up. Here's another thing about this game that's really interesting. Like, you got two guys who may never be starters in the NFL at quarterback,
Yeah.
For as much as we talk about, and I think rightfully so, as much as we talk about it's a quarterback game, and ultimately most years it's Trevor Lawrence in there, or it's, Deshaun Watson or Mac Jones, Tua, whatever. Max Duggan against Stetson Bennett, folks.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And it was hilarious to watch Stetson Bennett and Kirby Smart like in the immediate aftermath of the win against Ohio State, because it looked like neither one of them could actually believe that they won the game. Like Stetson Bennett like almost couldn't find the words, and Kirby Smart like immediately went into coach mode. He's like, well, yeah, we won. Ohio State probably deserved to win the game, and let me just tell you, I don't know that we're ready for TCU right now. I was like, geez, dude, can you enjoy it for like half a second before you just start going nuts out there?
Seriously, man, like the clock just struck midnight, like have a glass of champagne and relax for a minute.
Take the visor off. Yeah.
Let loose. Take the visor off.
And I'm sure you guys have seen, like, I tweeted it out. Someone, tweeted like the timing of the ball dropping in New York. Like it was exactly when that kick was shanked. What a crazy day, man. Crazy day.
That was the definition of wide left. That's pretty wide left.
Oh God. Yeah,
feel bad for the kid.
And by the way, the laces were definitely wrong. I mean, like the whole thing was botched. Whew. Kirby Smart, by the way, give him one. I can tell you what, the timeout that he called before the fake.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a game-winning timeout.
Ohio State fans are mad about that one. They don't think he got it off in time.
But as they said on the broadcast, and for people to like, if you tell an official that before the play is snapped, it doesn't matter if the official beats the play.
Right.
As soon as the official gets that registered, it's a timeout.
Right.
So,
exactly. 615-737-1025. We'll have more coming up next on the playoff picture in the AFC, which is starting to round into form, and we'll look ahead to the Titans and the Jags coming up on Saturday Night Football as well. Looking forward to that. Take your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. That's next, but first, Joe Rexrode has a word from OrderGreen.com.
Yes, OrderGreen.com, the nation's #1 online shop for all things cannabis. A wide selection of high-quality THC and CBD products. You're talking about edibles, gummies, vapes, flower, you name it. OrderGreen.com has it. And also OrderGreen.com has a team with extensive knowledge for every product they offer. This means you as a customer can know you're receiving the highest of quality from reputable providers. You get nationwide same-day delivery right to your doorstep. And if you subscribe to OrderGreen.com, 25% off every shipment of gummies. If you use promo code Joe20, you get 20% off your first purchase.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3. The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
1, 2, 3.
I think it was a good game.
Had a couple of big plays.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. The Tennessee Titans will play the Jacksonville Jaguars for the AFC South coming up on Saturday Night Football. That game, I believe it's 7:15 local time is when that will start coming up on Saturday night. So looking forward to that on Saturday Night Football. We know that it will be Titans and Jags on Saturday night. We'll see what the Sunday Night Football situation looks like. Joe, after the action yesterday in the AFC, the playoff picture starting to round into form. We know the winner of Titans-Jags will be the 4 seed in the playoffs, and we know that the Chargers and the Ravens have now also clinched a playoff spot. So one wild card spot remaining to be clinched in the AFC. New England currently holding that down at 8-8. It's pretty simple for the Patriots. If they win next week at Buffalo, they are in, or they can also get in with a Dolphins loss against the Jets, plus a Pittsburgh Steelers loss to the Cleveland Browns, plus a Jags win against the Titans. So a lot of different scenarios there that could be the case for the Patriots. Dolphins can get in with a win against the Jets and a Patriots loss to Buffalo. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, believe it or not, still alive for the playoffs. They can get in with a win against the Browns, a Patriots loss to Buffalo, and a Dolphins loss to the Jets. So much different scenarios still left on the table in the AFC playoff picture, but starting to round into form, and that was a big win yesterday by the Patriots to take down the Dolphins.
Yeah, boy. I mean, I will say, of all the things that happened, and I know that obviously Lamar Jackson's been hurt, but the Steelers, I'm trying to imagine the excitement of Junie Riddle for one thing.
He's wild,
oh boy. The fact that that they're actually still in the race to get in the playoffs right now is just wild. By the way, just real quick, since I brought him up, so he thinks Vrabel should be on the hot seat. Michelle, he said this on your show this weekend. I want to make sure we get this.
If they lose 7 in a row,
okay,
they should be on the hot seat. And I finally experienced, Joe, how you feel when you are trying to fight with Jared about a take. And I just couldn't find the words, really. But yes,
wow,
that was the take on Saturday morning.
Jeez. We need to clip that. Junie equals young Jared. Is Junie young Jared?
Poor kid. Good gracious. Don't tell him
Jared
that.
and Junie, by the way.
Yeah. So lots on the table this week in the AFC playoff picture. The Jags and Titans squaring off on Saturday Night Football, which, by the way, I saw a report where apparently the Jags are leaving their uniform choice up to the fans on Saturdays. So looking to see what the fans come up with. Maybe it'll be that Thursday Night Football special we saw a couple of years ago where it looked like the baby diaper out there.
Oh, diapercontents.com. Yeah. Maybe if it's like the fans who are going to be contributing to the milky pool water, it'll be like some kind of a bathing suit montage. You know? Duval. Let's hear from some Jags fans this week. Is Todd from Jacksonville going to be weighing in?
Hey,
I hope so.
Look, the Jags fans, they're fired up. I mean, look, they did play yesterday, albeit against the Houston Texans, but I will say, I mean, we saw what the Titans and Texans looked like a couple of weeks ago, and the Jags were dominant yesterday against Houston, and they got their guys out of there after that game was out of control. But they won 31-3 yesterday on the road against the Texans, and a Texans team that's already beaten them. You know, Lawrence eventually got pulled in the game, and C.J. Beathard was in there. But, Travis Etienne ran for 108 yards on 9 carries against that stout Houston rush defense yesterday. I mean, they got to be feeling really good about themselves heading into the game. They've been hot. They're at home for the game. They've already taken down the Titans, and the Titans have lost 6 games in a row. I mean, if you're the Titans, it's an interesting kind of psychological question this week that I have, Joe, because the Titans certainly have been in more big games than the Jags have been in. I mean, there's no question about it. Just go up and down their roster. Titans have been in this situation before. They've been in a win-and-in situation before. They've been in playoff games before with a lot of guys that play on this team. So how much do you value that versus the way the two teams are playing right now, with the Titans having lost 6 in a row and the Jags one of the hottest teams in the NFL? It's kind of an interesting dichotomy on that front this week.
Yeah, good word.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of, as I kind of heard yesterday, there's a fair amount of just sort of assuming. I think I heard Bradshaw like, well, Jacksonville, who's about to go win the AFC South next week. I mean, they were about a touchdown favorite here in this game, right around there, right? Yeah. Look, they are playing much better than the Titans. They have it at home. They have it on prime time. I would feel quite, even if now, would they have 6 straight losses? Probably not. Like if Tannehill had played like against the Texans, for example. But if they had Tannehill, then I would really like the Titans' chances in this game. I mean, there's a lot of guys who are experienced and have won big games and have come up big in big games. Like you said, there's a huge difference between these two teams in that. But the guy at quarterback's making his second start. So it's just like, it's hard for me to argue too much against Jacksonville being a significant favorite in this game, given that uncertainty. But I do feel like this. I feel like if Josh Dobbs can be solid and not give the Jaguars the football and, can make some plays in this game and have some efficient drives in this game, then I think the Titans defense is going to show up big time. They haven't been whole at all, and they won't be whole, but they will be, as I think, healthy, and especially if David Long Jr. comes back this week, which is certainly the plan, as they've been in a long time.
I love this text from Kyle on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, who is a resident Jags fan. Says, guys, I know you're Nashville sports talk, but you guys can't think the Titans stand a chance. Our uniform choice is going to be all teal. It's winning the vote by a lot. I love how we've gotten with the Jacksonville Jaguars that the Titans just couldn't possibly stand a chance against Jacksonville.
What kind of homers would think that the Jaguars could lose this football game? Yeah.
The 8-8 Jags, just unbeatable out there.
Yeah. The Jags, who again, and I know the Lions blew out the awful Bears yesterday, but like the Jaguars, who just lost by 26 to that team, before the Titans pumped life into their season. So, but look, they're playing better. I like them. I absolutely think they have the best trajectory. They right now they have the best future prospects in this division. I think next year they're going to be the favorite in the division. I'll say that now without knowing exactly what everybody else is going to look like. But Doug Peterson's done a fantastic job, and it was a really good hire, and they should be the favorite in this game. But the idea that the Titans couldn't stand a chance, I think that's dismissing a little bit what a lot of the guys who are going to be on the field Saturday night have done with the Titans. They've done some pretty good stuff.
Well, they have. And, obviously the first time these two teams met, game got away from the Titans, and defensively didn't go very well. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, to his credit, mean, he carved them up. He was great in that game against the Titans, and they had zero answer whatsoever from Evan Ingram. I mean, there's a lot that the Jags did really well in that game offensively that I do think it's gonna pose a huge challenge for the Titans coming up. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, you got to remember, even earlier this year, I mean, we talk about the Urban Meyer experience with Trevor Lawrence, but even earlier this year, he was having some games where people are like, man, what's going on out there? Like, I'm not too sure with Trevor Lawrence. And then basically from the midway point of this season on, he's been lethal out there. So, I mean, it's going to be a big challenge for the Titans, don't get me wrong. And I said it last week, if I had to pick a winner right now, I'd probably pick the Jags to win the game coming up. But I do think the Titans, with a healthier defense, have a chance to play really well in this game and have a chance to play their best football on the defensive side of things. Offensively, with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, I don't know what the ceiling is for that offense. Is it 20 points? Is it 24 points? I don't know. I do know this. Like, if the Titans are going to win this game on Saturday, Joe, it's probably going to require an outstanding effort from Derrick Henry.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, you got to have balance. I mean, if Dobbs doesn't have that as a compliment, then you're still, I think, asking a lot of him to put too much on the scoreboard. If he does have it, you can see where some of those play action boots and things like that could really be effective. So, I'm trying. Actually, I should have had this up, and I will get it up before long here. But the Titans defense, I believe, in the first meeting didn't have, well, certainly I know didn't have Autry, didn't have David Long Jr. for sure. Also had an ailing Jeffrey Simmons. He should be, and that's a big deal, man.
Oh yeah,
Jeffrey Simmons with this rest, and I don't think Amani Hooker played in that game either, and I don't think Christian Fulton played in that game. Or did Fulton get hurt in that game? That's where I'll look it up to make sure. But you are talking about a very different defensive lineup in this game. More of like the lineup that went to Kansas City and held that offense down until like basically the very end of the game. So you can't just dismiss that. If you're a Jags fan and you want to dig in on this game, like, you got to understand that.
Well, you do, and the Titans should be better equipped in this game to at least have someone that approaches the general vicinity of Evan Ingram. That still, to me, was one of the most. I mean, look, Evan Ingram is very talented, and he's always been talented. But just the way that he annihilated the Titans in that first game, like, if you're the Titans, you can't allow that to happen again.
No, and I mean, look, whether it's again, I think Long and Hooker. So they're like in both cases, there's two guys who could make a difference there, depending on what the Titans are doing in a particular play and particular coverage. But both those guys will probably have a hand in trying to keep him limited. And look, the Titans, when they're right and they've got their people, like, it's hard for anyone to run on them, So I do think that keeping the score down in this game is absolutely a possibility. That's what they have to do.
We'll have more on the Titans and Jags coming up next. Take your thoughts on the winner-take-all game in the AFC South coming up on Saturday night. 615-737-1025. That's coming up next. But first, Joe Rexrode has a word from our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. I believe Joe is on mute. An extended mute for Rexrode.
I mean, I seriously clicked on mute, I swear to you, like 4 times in a row, and it kept like remuting it. Also, how did I even get muted? Okay, well, look, we got to get our mutes in. We have less time. We have to get more mutes in less time. But I'd like to talk, as you said, Robbie, about FanDuel Sportsbook. This is my personal sports book, and that was a perfect time to join the sports book because right now new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That is free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. All you have to do is sign up with promo code Joe102. Obviously, you got your money line, point spreads, player props, but you can combine them for same game parlay, get a bigger payout. The app is safe, secure, super easy to use, and if you sign up with promo code Joe102, again, you get that no sweat first bet. If I'm looking at this game we're talking about, Titans Jags, that I could change. But right now, I like Titans. I like Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. and I think I like the under in this game. That would be what I would be looking at with this game. Of course, you have all sorts of other games to possibly choose from as well. Just again, use promo code Joe102 and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner in the NFL. You got to be 21 or over in present Tennessee, first online minimum age only. Refund issued is now available. Free bets expire 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms of sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Michelle Knezovic and Junie Riddle for Michelle and Junie.
Have they truly been tested yet?
I really want this to be a good game. Michelle and Junie, every Saturday morning at 9. Presented by Superbook Sports and the Nashville Jam Company.
I think Junie and I are going to go hit breakfast/brunch there after the show.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game and a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fansville, where the refs are always wrong and Dr. Pepper is always right. Always. Where the mountains are capped with cooler ice and children learn the 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper before they learn the alphabet. Smart. It's the one place where a man is a 6 unless he's wearing face paint. He's a 10. And where fans deserve a Dr. Pepper no matter if they win or lose. But we're gonna win. Get ready for anything to happen this college football season on Fansville by Dr. Pepper. The one fans deserve. Grab some today.
Your Game Center update.
Welcome into your Game Center update and Happy New Year, Nashville. Big weekend for the Tennessee Volunteers. They finished their season 11-2 and cap it off with a 31-14 win over Clemson in the Orange Bowl. Week 18 for the Tennessee Titans is set for Saturday, a 7:15 kickoff in Jacksonville for the AFC South. Mike Vrabel said the team cannot focus on the last 6 games. They need to focus on trying to secure a playoff spot.
This 6-game streak that you have of losing, like how tough is it to flip that switch and go out there and do what you have to do, this upcoming week against Jacksonville?
Well, I mean, I think we've been through this, whether you win 6 or lose 6. It doesn't matter really what you did last week. It's not going to matter what you did yesterday. We just have to play better. And we've seen it happen in this league numerous times throughout the year, throughout this season, last season. There's only one game that matters, and that's this one.
I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode.
It's part of this nutritious breakfast.
On 1025 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Preds fans, hang out before the Preds games at the Superbook Lounge and Landshark Bar and Grill, Margaritaville on Broadway with 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Place your bets with Superbook and enjoy great food and drink specials. Plus, enter for a chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Preds back in action tomorrow, taking on the Montreal Canadiens at Bridgestone Arena. By the way, Philip Forsberg heating up, 3 points against the Ducks. Hat trick the other night against the Vegas Golden Knights in a losing effort, but Forsberg, maybe the sole reason they got a point in that game. So good news for the Predators with Philip Forsberg heating up. We'll see if he can continue that, taking on Montreal coming up tomorrow night at Bridgestone Arena. Right now, taking your thoughts on the Titans and the Jags, 615-737-1025. Megan on the text line says, the Jags should be the favorites next year, but with the national media, it'll be, quote, I'm loving the Colts with Jimmy G. It'll be their division to lose. This from Megan on the text line. Could be.
Well done, Megan.
Colts and Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. I was just going to say, or Derek Carr.
Oh, boy. Yeah, the Colts and whoever. That's true. As long as Chris Ballard's there, although Reich is gone, so the whole oh man, genius play caller and that GM, my goodness. Yeah. How will we twist our minds to pick the Colts next year? I can't wait to find out.
Chuck on the text line says, I know it's wrong to feel this way, but unless the Titans are good enough to make a Super Bowl run, and they aren't, I'd rather lose this game and draft higher. This from Chuck on the text line. To that point, Joe, Ben Arthur put this out yesterday on Twitter. According to Tankathon, which I guess tankathon.com is a website that tracks this stuff, the Titans currently hold the 10th pick in the 2023 draft. This from Ben Arthur yesterday.
Yeah, so I saw that, but also I know that SportsCenter last night put up the draft, and the Titans were not in the top 10. But so I don't know. Whatever. We'll see where it is after this game. How many Titans fans? What percentage of Titans fans want them to lose this game, so they can get the 10th pick as opposed to the 13th pick?
That's the thing.
Explain it to me.
Well,
explain it to me.
The only reason I could see you thinking that way is if you think you're going to get a quarterback, right? But you're not getting a quarterback. I mean, you're not getting Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud at 10. I don't think.
Right. No, well, of course you're not. I mean, could I guess, try to mortgage, the Bears are going to be sitting there. By the way, the Bears, Michelle, stop being a Bears fan.
Listen, you almost got that 90-yard touchdown.
Yeah, that's true.
7 of 21 throwing the ball yesterday.
I was going to say he threw for 20 yards. Oh, God.
7 of 21.
He's also got a really good offensive line in front of him, guys. Really good.
No. Well, no, I get that. I like him, but I'm not, we'll see. I mean, he has to get better receivers, better offensive line, but it's the freaking Lions too. But regardless, the Bears are going to be, number 2, right? Probably, or maybe they get the number 1 pick. Regardless, they're going to be sitting there looking to trade down to somebody who's willing to mortgage their life to get one of those QBs. So, but what would you what could the Titans even manage in an attempt to move up from, let's say, 10 to 2? I don't see it. So I don't think it's feasible. I think there's other teams that are going to be in better position to do that, and that's why I think that you should want to win the division if you're a Titans fan. Call me crazy.
I got a text that says, do you believe it's still possible for teams with average or mediocre quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl, i.e. Tampa with Dilfer, Ravens with Flacco, or the Giants with Sims, or currently the Titans with Tannehill? If not, what do the Titans do over the next few years to give them a chance? Because even if the Titans win on Saturday, you can't possibly believe that the Titans have a real chance this season.
Well, I mean, it's an interesting thing because you're asking that question, and I get it. But first of all, we have seen, I mean, in recent years, we've also seen Jimmy G in the Super Bowl. We've seen Jared Goff in the Super Bowl. We've seen Nick Foles win the Super Bowl. So it's not like we have to hearken way back to find this, right? So my quick answer is yes, it is possible. Dude, I could see Brock Purdy win the Super Bowl this year. It's possible. They could win the Super Bowl with Brock freaking Purdy at quarterback. Now, I don't know that they will, but I'm just saying, if you have a great team and a good quarterback, yes, you can make that kind of run. But again, we're talking about this team like Tannehill. First of all, he's not even part of it right now, but he's so not the issue right now. Eventually, yes. Who's the next quarterback, and how do you make sure it's a great quarterback? I don't know. I don't know, but I will, the whole Derek Carr thing, which I was actually very impressed last week. We didn't get much of that. Just please stop if you are thinking it's just another guy in the same tier as Tannehill, who I don't think is as good as Tannehill.
Zach on the text line. I gotta say, so far, Joe, on the text line, a negative day on the text line. Bunch of doom and gloomers. Zach on the text line says, the 10th pick in the NFL draft allows you more flexibility to move up, move back, or draft a top player at a position of need. Winning allows what? One more chance to be embarrassed on national TV? Yay. This is from Zach on the text line.
Wow. Okay. I mean, hey, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. I just the Titans' best first-round pick, and I guess you can say, yeah, but that was J-Rob. The next GM is going to be way better. But the best first-round pick the Titans have had in a long time, in fact, this would be good to go back on, like a long time, is Jeffrey Simmons at 19. Jeffrey Simmons at 19, right?
Yeah.
How many other picks, you had? It's about choosing the right player. If you're not real high, yeah, I get it. Like if you can be in that top neighborhood where it doesn't take the world to move up to, if you're trying to get a QB or whatever, you could get. You have a better chance at like a top and obvious, a great defensive player or whatever, the best left tackle, whatever it may be. 10 to into the teens, make a good choice. Like I just don't understand, if you're a fan of the Titans, why you wouldn't want to win a division, go in a primetime game with the entire NFL world is going to be watching your team play Saturday night. You're like, yeah, go out there and poop yourself and let's get that 10th pick. Yay! I don't get it.
Well, especially in this situation, because we have no idea what the Titans are going to do, like what their approach is going to be as they move forward. They could try to run it back next year. They could be like, well, we're going with Tannehill, we're going with Henry, we're signing Jeffrey Simmons to a long-term contract, we're bringing Kevin Byard back, Harold Landry's going to be back, and we're trying to win this division next year. Or they could totally tear it down, and Ryan Tannehill could be gone, and Derrick Henry could be gone. We have no idea what they're going to try to do. So don't you want to try to make the playoffs now? It's just my thought.
And again, I look at the Bucks, who I didn't really see how that happened, but they went nuts. Tom Brady went nuts. We're going to get Brady and Rodgers probably in the playoffs this year, when a lot of this year has been about how we weren't, especially with Rodgers. But that team is going to be home, and they're going to be big underdogs probably to the Cowboys. I think the Eagles will figure out a way to win this last game. But is it impossible for them to win that game? No. Is it impossible for the Titans to beat the Ravens or the Chargers at home in a home playoff game? No, it's not impossible. It is not. Again, you're talking about embarrassed on national TV. This team, as bad as things have gotten, and I know Tannehill was at quarterback, but as bad as things have gotten for this team, the losing streak and everything, they went out to L.A. and we're about to go to overtime with the Chargers. You're just going to get embarrassed in that game. You know this for a fact. I don't understand the mindset.
Well, and right now that's the matchup. That would be it would be 4-5, the Titans and the Chargers. That's what it would be.
Right.
So, and you'd have it at home. So, like you said, Tannehill was a part of that. Now Tannehill was also hobbling around on one foot in that game. So, Titans defense played pretty well in that game. 615-737-1025. We'll take more of your thoughts on the Titans and the Jags. Kenston, hang with us. We'll get to you as well coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Preds game?
Yes.
Tune in to Robby and Rexrode every weekday Preds game day at 8:45 for Preds Pick to Click. Guess a goal scorer and win.
I'll take Roman Yossi.
Matt Duchesne. Pick to Click is brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Visit tjandersonhomes.com to see why they are referred so often. And by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Download their app today.
Preds Pick to Click.
We are 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
Do you take pride in your work? Do you want to help build Nashville? Need to join Ironworkers Local 492. They build Nashville, working on everything from steel erection on buildings and bridges, plant maintenance, concrete, reinforcing, conveyor work, sheeting, welding, rigging, fence erecting, curtain wall, window wall, and a variety of other specialty work. They provide the best skilled iron workers for contractors and projects in Nashville. If you want to build Nashville, you want to be proud of doing it, visit ironworkers492.org. Join Ironworkers Local 492. Happy New Year from everyone at Ironworkers Local 492.
It's a new year and a new game. Robby and Rexrode from 6 to 9.
I don't know whether to be proud of you or to tell you to leave the room. Both would be appropriate.
Chase and Michelle from 9 to 11.
Did you look at what the other teams were doing?
That's a player I want to keep an eye on.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace from 11 to 2.
You're the best running back in the league.
That's one you really need to win.
This is the way we were built. And Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman from 2 to 6.
Really the greatest player in the history of the team.
It's your new weekday lineup now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Looking ahead to the Titans and the Jags coming up on Saturday. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line and welcome in Kinston from Memphis who's called in. Kinston, thanks for calling in.
What's going on, guys? Good to be on again.
Good to have you.
Yes, sir. I had a question more so that's a little bit in the future, but kind of playing off of this weekend's game, no matter how it goes, with the perspective of a new GM. I was kind of sitting here thinking, what are you guys' expectations of how maybe a GM would see this roster? I know we fired John Robinson. Are you guys expecting a GM to come in and make splash moves to really get things going? Because I'd hate to go through an offseason and look at a new GM and say, man, J-Rob could have made these moves. What do we go through all that for? Are you guys – so my question is, are you looking for somebody to come in and look at this roster and be aggressive or kind of stand put as what we kind of had it before? Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call. I mean, Joe, that's the interesting question because, I mean, the truthful answer is I have no idea. I don't know how they're going to view this roster. I will say this, like, it's difficult for me to imagine the status quo kind of being the approach, right? Like, it's difficult for me to imagine a general manager coming in and saying, all right, well, we're going to basically just have the same roster come back next year. Like, I would expect there to be, even if they're trying to run it back and stay competitive and Tannehill's the quarterback, like, I would expect some moves to be made that either launch them in a direction to try to be more competitive or on the other side, launch them in a direction where you're looking at rebuild. Like, it's difficult for me to imagine that a GM comes in and is just like, all right, well, let's just bring back everybody and just try it again next year and hope that we get better results. Like, I would hope, like, if you're going to come back and give it one more go with Tannehill and Derrick Henry and the core that you've put together, maybe an aggressive swing to go get a wide receiver or an aggressive swing to go get another pass rusher, whatever the move would be. Like, if you're running it back with these guys, Joe, like, you got to improve them and build on it. If not, I don't really know what you're doing trying to run it back.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what Kenston's talking about, though. It sounds like Kenston doesn't want to see the status quo of Tannehill and Henry. I could be wrong, But first of all, I agree with you. I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. But you could have a quote-unquote boring offseason and still – I mean, it comes down to, like, can you fix the offensive line in one offseason to me if you're going to run it back? Because if you can – and like you said, receiver, I mean, I think either way, like Bud Dupree, I think that's Bud Dupree, maybe Robert Woods, but there's some money that has to be chopped off. But I mean, like, if you can make good choices, both draft, free agency, to fix the offensive line, and then because look, you could make the case, okay, Traylon Burks, second year. Kyle Phillips, healthy and back. And you have to add some. You certainly have to add a receiver, but could you draft someone who could come in and help? That'd be a very young room, but I'm just saying, like, it could be a quote unquote boring and not super splashy offseason, but you could have a really good team next year if that's the way you decide to go. If you're going to blow it up, then, if you're going to move on, then yeah, then it's like, first of all, what are you doing at quarterback? I mean, is Malik Willis just, is he just dismissed now? And Peter King had a report over the weekend, that indicated, that basically Vrabel's out on Malik Willis.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly that's the case now, right? Does that mean that, like, as an organization, that's move on? I mean, I'm keeping an open mind on that. And then again, it's like, if you are moving on from Tannehill, then you have to be expecting to take a step back next year. How much of a step back, and who's the next quarterback?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the first part of this is going to be, number one, who's the GM, but number two, what decision are you making at quarterback? I mean, that's what this really boils down to. Like, if Tannehill's back next year, I mean, you're going to be – I think it's fair to say, Joe, like, if Tannehill's back and Derrick Henry's back, there's a baseline that you're going to be at least good enough to be in the mix, right? I mean, you're going to be good enough to be, right around where you are right now, 7, 8, 9 wins. Like, you would think at some point the injury luck changes for the Titans and that next year they're not at the top of the NFL again for the third consecutive year in injuries. You would think that would be the case next year. So if Tannehill and Henry are back and they stay healthy, like, there's a baseline of what you're going to be. You're going to be in the neighborhood of 7, 8, 9 wins. And with the defense that you've put together, I mean, you could be competing for the division. If you make a decision to go a different direction at quarterback, then all bets are off at that point. And then, who would the quarterback be? Would it come via the draft? Would you go trade for another quarterback? Would you sign a quarterback in the offseason? I mean, those are the questions you'd have to go down the rabbit hole of if you decide to make that move. To me, it comes down to the next GM and Mike Vrabel, whatever that collaboration, whatever that looks like. Is it going to be Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, or is it not going to be? And if it is, I mean, I think you can reasonably expect that the Titans will at least be competitive next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's, like, if you think about a new GM, what if, whoever it is may completely not believe in, paying a running back, or, not believe in, like, this style of running game too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? And that's a thing to remember too when you go back to, like, John Robinson being fired. I mean, when you talk about, like, the distraction, the short-term distraction of that, every single player in that locker room also, like, were chosen by John Robinson. So there's some level of, like, understanding of, like, why they fit in the team and why they were chosen. And, like, every single player, including guys like Derrick Henry, you have to have the thought when that happens, like, gosh, is the next guy, what's the next guy going to think of me? What's the direction? Granted, we know Vrabel's going to have a lot to say in this, but I'm just saying, like, there's just so much unknown, including in the locker room, about that. And yeah, part of the Peter King report also said something about like good chance they move on from Tannehill.
Yep.
So again, this is like this can only be Vrabel, right? I mean, in terms of, this can only be like what Vrabel's thinking type stuff, whoever Peter King talked to, because they don't know who the GM is. So it's almost weird to even talk about things like this unless you just believe that this is basically just going to be Vrabel's show. And I'm not willing to buy that completely. I mean, I think certainly more power, more say and all that, but I'm not willing to buy, like, figurehead GM coming in here. If that's the case, then I guess we can just ask the question, what is Vrabel going to want to do? I think Vrabel loves Tannehill. I mean, I think Vrabel truly believes in him. Does he believe that he can't get better at quarterback? No, I'm sure he'd like to be better at quarterback, but who the heck would that be in the short term if you can't go get one of these top guys?
I mean, Brady threw for 432 yards yesterday.
Brady had a good day yesterday.
Brady as QB1 and then also offensive coordinator next year.
I will say,
there you go.
He looked pretty darn good yesterday at 45 years old.
Well, we'll be soon enough. We'll be, someone will have a video of Rabel at a basketball game, FaceTime and Brady, and we can start it all up again. I mean, maybe that's what it is. It's finally Brady time.
Side note: I was at that basketball game.
Yeah.
It was a Syracuse basketball game that Brady, Julian Edelman, and Jimmy Fallon were there.
Yeah. Interesting
So
day.
random, but really cool.
FaceTiming Mike Vrabel. Interesting day. Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in LD from McMinnville. LD, thanks for calling in.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Happy New Year.
You too.
Too.
I personally believe that if you run it back with Tannehill, it's going to be the same as it has been the past 2 or 3 years, because I just can't see them being able to overhaul everything that needs to be overhauled in one offseason. I could be wrong, but I've stated before, I believe Tannehill needs what he had when he got there, right? Two top receivers, the top tight end, the best running back, probably a top 5 O-line, and that's good around Tannehill, what they claimed he needed. So I don't think it's going to be the same, which is fine. It's probably better than starting completely over in my book, but at this point, it kind of is what it is. It will be interesting to see how it goes and who the GM is. According to Jared, it's going to be Stryker, and we'll have Brady. So maybe we're set. See you guys.
Thank you, LD. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I think Jared's got it figured out. Stryker is the GM, and Tommy finally comes to Nashville. 46-year-old Brady next year slinging that thing around.
There you go. It's all done. Yeah, look with Tannehill, of course. I mean, he was great. I mean, he was great in 2020 and in 2019 with all those things that LD mentioned. But how do you get back to that? I mean, we know the injuries, the aging, and the bad choices on the offensive line. You know how many teams in the NFL are saying, like, if you really go around team to team, how many teams are saying, got to fix that offensive line this offseason? It's an epidemic, man. Like, there aren't enough good offensive linemen. So how do you get close to what you were around him there? You can't. I mean, Derrick Henry's like 2020 Derrick Henry's not coming back, okay? He's very good. He's great. He's not 2020 Derrick. That's not coming back. And then we know number 11 is not coming back.
Right.
So it's just.
What, Dobbs?
Well, maybe he is coming back, actually. Dobbs as QB2 is not a bad idea. Yeah, it's just that's where, and this is when you talk this through, this is the argument to take a bigger step back, right? And carve it up a little bit, but it still all comes all the way back to just who is your next quarterback. Whether it's one more run back next year, which I still think I would lean toward. I mean, maybe there's some just sentimentality there because it's Derrick Henry. It's like, how do you not let Derrick Henry have one more year? I mean,
right.
Or a more significant change, like who is the next quarterback and how do you get the next quarterback?
Well, the other thing to keep in mind when it comes to the Tannehill discussion that I feel like not a whole lot of people are talking about, he'll be 35 next year. I mean, and I realize we live in an age where, I mean, we were just joking about Tom Brady, but he's 45 and he's slinging the rock around out there. Rodgers is 39, and both those guys are still playing pretty well. And you can find examples of quarterbacks playing longer. I think as time goes on, with the rules being what they are, quarterbacks will be able to play longer, and quarterbacks playing until they're 40 years old is not going to really be that big of a shock anymore as they move forward based on the way the position is played now. But he is 35 years old, and he is coming off an injury, and part of his game is mobility. And you do wonder, like, as he continues to get older, how much longer is Ryan Tannehill going to be an effective starting quarterback at his age? I'm not saying that, the wheels are just going to come off next year, because I agree with you, Joe. I think he's played well this year given the circumstances, but you can't just ignore him being 35 heading into next year either.
No, but again, I mean, to me, that's why it's like, I look at it as like, are you going to run it back for another year? It can't. But with him and Henry, who of course is younger, but in his position age is much older. It's 1 year, right? So how much do people want that year, that one last try?
No, it's a great question. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, it's time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. But first, Michelle Knezovic has a word from Superbook Sportsbook.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Robby. Listen, I know it is 2023. Everybody's got their New Year's resolutions, but Superbook wants you to add one. Your New Year's resolution to win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Who doesn't love that? Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you get the best odds boost anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. We have a game that I'm really looking forward tonight to see. Monday Night Football. We got the Bills heading to Cincinnati to face the Bengals. It's pretty much a pick'em game. It's a 1-point difference, but listen, the Bills are still favored by 1, and I am going to take the Bengals plus the 1. I think they win outright tonight. They're really surging right now, and Joe Burrow is really shaping into form. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make sure 2023 is the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and place your bets today. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Your home for the MTSU Blue Raiders is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Every touchdown.
Yes, touchdown.
Every three.
Free ball, yes, sir.
It all lives here.
Middle Tennessee.
You can also hear the Blue Raiders in the Borough on 97.5. Middle Tennessee Athletics on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Let me guess. Unknown caller? You could reduce the number of unwanted calls and emails with online privacy protection. The latest innovation from Discover will help regularly remove your personal info, like your name and address, from 10 popular people search websites that could sell your data. And we'll do it for free. Activate in the Discover app. See terms and learn more at discover.com/online privacy protection.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
A show that lives and breathes sports.
Focus in, focus in, focus in.
From the SEC.
Credit to the Alabamas, the Georgias, and the Ohio States of the world.
To the Preds.
They've been in a lot of really tight games, but they're not winning enough of them.
To the Titans.
He's talking about what this franchise has built over the years.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
What is this? Check it out.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
The Lions.
Oh my gosh.
You got the Lions.
I got the Lions.
You guys both have the Lions making the playoffs?
Yes.
Playoffs?
I know it sounds far-fetched. I know it does, Willie. There
okay.
we go.
And it is that time of the day, time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode here on Robby and Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. And as that audio would suggest, that was back before the season. Both D-Mace and Chase McCabe picking the Detroit Lions to make the playoffs. And I will say, I did not anticipate heading into the final week of the NFL season the Lions still being alive in the playoff race, but they are. And who knows, depending on how the Seattle Seahawks play coming up this weekend, they could have a chance to win and get in against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. So how about those Detroit Lions? Joe, we are potentially 1 week away from owing Chase McCabe and Derek Mason a huge apology here on this program.
And $20 to Junie, Rex.
Well, that too.
Yeah, I'm not worried about any of it. We all, I mean, come on. First of all, like Seattle's not going to lose to the Rams.
Yeah, they play the Rams.
So, yeah, Seattle has the Rams at home. So that's the thing is like that's going to be if that's the Sunday night game, it's kind of dumb because the Lions are going to be out of it. They're just going to be trying to play spoiler to the Packers. But yeah, I'm not worried about that at all. Lions suck. But I am not here to rant about the Lions. I'm here to talk about, well, let's see, talk about Friday night, Vols game, on the field. First of all, the Orange Bowl people who try to kick media off the field, which is just bizarre. That pissed me off, but I won't rant about that either. The game ended. It was around midnight. So that's when I turned 50 years old. And it was actually a very fitting 50th birthday. It was, sitting on a laptop at 4:30 in the morning, sending in my little column on the Vols as I was the last person out there. All the other people were done at the media hotel. I was like, this is actually a very fitting 50th birthday. Just me alone, tapping away, honey and pecking with my little sports column. I had a beer. I drank a beer alone. It was wonderful. And it's a fitting start because really, like, there's nothing good about turning 50. 50 sucks. Like, it's already just, I mean, basically, like, all I've been thinking about the last few days is like, okay, so how much till I die? Like, what do I have left till I die? Like, really?
No, Joe, don't think that way.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, that's how I think.
But
you can't change how I think.
You're a cool 50-year-old. I tried to tell your kids when I house sat, and they kind of looked at me like I had four heads. I'm like, yeah, but you guys have a cool dad. So you can be a cool 50-year-old, Rexrode.
Well, see, you've made me feel even worse because, see, like, my kids don't think I'm cool. I mean, it's like, it's just, it's just how long till I die. So, I mean, I'm good for all the people who, like, turn, like, these advanced ages and, like, have a great outlook and, like, yes, it's going to be best year of my life or the best decade of my life. There's not, like, I remember my uncle when I was a kid had his 30th birthday and, like, his friends bought, like, black balloons and, like, Geritol and all this stuff for him, which is like joking around. But I remember thinking how old 30 seemed. Like, to me, that was like an appropriate joke because it's like,
me too.
God, he's 30? Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, you know what it's like. I mean, that feels old, but I wasn't bothered by 30. It was fine. 30's great. And honestly, 40 didn't bother me either. It's fine. 50 is, God, half a century? Dude,
it's funny you say that. Like, my dad had basically the same approach. He's like, 30, not a big deal. 40, not really a big deal. I think 50 played some games with him a little bit. It was a hurdle for him to overcome.
Yeah, like, it's just, and I know not everyone's like this because some people, or at least they lie maybe and say that they're good with it, And I'm typically an optimist, but when it comes to my rapidly fizzling life, I'm a doom and gloomer.
But Rexrode, you did lose a lot of weight.
Depressing Rex rant, my goodness.
Yeah, I'm trying to like get some positive out of this, right? It's the second day of 2023. Rexrode, remember you had your 50 to 50 and you lost about 30 pounds. So that's a good way to head into 50 years old.
Yeah.
So you're healthier.
Yeah. Well, see, that probably folds into this too. Yeah, so I think I got it to about 30, 35 pounds, but it hasn't gone well lately.
That's the holidays, man.
Well, I know, but like, so then you feel like crap, So you have this stretch of, well, okay, I'll have. How do I not have that brownie?
Right.
Yes. It was, by the way, my grandma and my 95-year-old grandma and Caroline made me a Texas sheet cake for my 50th. So thanks to them. And I ate a lot of it. But yeah, I think that's part of it too, right? Is like when, like, the holidays, as you get older, especially more and more, it's like, oh my God, do I need some carrots and celery for a day, So whatever, man, I'll die soon. It's fine. I mean, it's been a good run.
Rexrode.
Thanks for listening.
No question. I mean, the takeaway I had from the first part of that story is even at 50 years old, Rexrode's still a grinder. I mean, we hear about first one in, last one out all the time in, like, the NFL. Apparently, like, no matter who you ask, they talk about that person being the first one in and last one out. So there's a lot of people apparently in professional sports on the same teams who are the first one in and the last one out. And I've never really understood how that's possible, but apparently it's the case sometimes. At Rexrode, first one there, last one to leave the other night. I love it.
Yeah, he couldn't quite come up with enough puns, so I had to scratch my head and come up with more. Well, it's funny too because Mike Wilson took a picture of me writing outside the Tennessee locker room. I don't know if you guys saw, but he tweeted out a side by side of that, and he took the same picture of me after Michigan State's Rose Bowl win over Stanford. 9 years earlier, right? Yeah. And I looked at the two pictures. I'm like, okay, so gained a bunch of weight, lost a bunch of hair, and also bad clothes now. So,
but got funnier.
Really nice funnier. On. Yeah, sure, Michelle. I appreciate your attempt to make me.
I am trying hard right now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I do.
Johnny on Twitter says, Joe Rexrode, you're awesome, buddy. My best friend turned 50 in mid-November, and I've known him my whole life. I only discovered later in life he's my best friend. It's all about living in the moment and enjoying each day to the max. Some nice words from Johnny there on Twitter. And then LD from McMinnville on the text line. Sorry, Joe, but at 50, odds are you've lived longer than you're going to live. This is from LD from McMinnville on the text line.
Oh, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like at 40, you can still say I'm middle-aged because maybe, right? Like you might be, like right around the halfway point, right?
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, man, this is no halfway point, buddy.
Keith's text, Robby.
Keith, way past the halfway point.
Keith on the text line says he just couldn't get out of the chair. That's why he was there so late. This from Keith on the text line. Rexrode physically unable to get up from the chair the other night working on the Vols column.
They did have a nice breakfast buffet for media, so I ate a lot of it too. By the way,
hey, got to do what you got to do.
Eggs, yeah. So, well, thanks everybody for listening. I mean, I don't feel better because I still feel awful about being 50, but at least I made you all, sort of dwell in my misery with me.
Well, happy birthday, Joe. We're here for
you.
Happy birthday.
This has been the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning at 7:45 here on the program. Coming up next, we'll look ahead to the Titans and Jacksonville on Saturday Night Football. Corey Curtis from News 2 will join us next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch the game. We talk the game.
The college football playoff rankings, Tennessee, the #1 team in the country.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Blitz Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
The Predators finished off 2022 with a road back-to-back on Friday and Saturday out west against the Anaheim Ducks and the Vegas Golden Knights. Predators beat the Ducks 6-1 on Friday for their most lopsided win of the season so far. Then on Saturday came back to force overtime with a Philip Forsberg hat trick in Vegas. Johansson up to Niederreiter. Hands to Yossi with 7. Forsberg in the slot. Forsberg shoots and scores! Forsberg tied it up with under 5 seconds to go, but the Golden Knights won 5-4 in overtime. Preds are back home tomorrow night against the Canadiens. Hope to see you at Bridgestone Arena to start 2023.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Joe Rexrode here for OrderGreen.com. Listen, to do the job I do, got to stay on the move at all times. Lots of travel, early mornings. Sometimes it can catch up with you, and when it does, I always enjoy natural and enjoyable ways to de-stress my mind and body. That's why I use a high-quality, wide selection of THC and CBD products from OrderGreen.com. It's not just me. Lots of my friends are on the bandwagon here, including a sick family friend of ours who has gotten great benefits. OrderGreen.com. You subscribe, you save 25% off shipments of gummies, or use promo code Joe20 for 20% off your first purchase. OrderGreen.com.
So many choices. Be careful. She is dangerously seductive. Tastes too good to be whiskey. Oil Fire Whiskey is now in Tennessee. If they don't have it, ask them to get it or go somewhere else. Oil Fire. There's nothing quite like it.
Your Game Center update.
Welcome into your Game Center update and Happy New Year, Nashville. Big weekend for the Tennessee Volunteers. They finished their season 11-2 and cap it off with a 31-14 win over Clemson in the Orange Bowl. Week 18 for the Tennessee Titans is set for Saturday, a 7:15 kickoff in Jacksonville for the AFC South. Mike Vrabel said the team cannot focus on the last 6 games. They need to focus on trying to secure a playoff spot.
This 6-game streak that you have of losing, like how tough is it to flip that switch and go out there and do what you have to do, this upcoming week against Jacksonville?
Well, I think we've been through this, whether you win 6 or lose 6. It doesn't matter really what you did last week. It's not going to matter what you did yesterday. We just have to play better. And we've seen it happen in this league numerous times throughout the year, throughout this season, last season. There's only one game that matters, and that's this one.
I'm Michelle Knezovic for 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Now, your Game Center update.
Welcome into your Game Center update and Happy New Year.
Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
A gunny performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's showtime.
Hour number 3, Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, good morning. How we doing?
Oh, just delightful. Just ready to root against the Packers in Week 18.
Showing some signs of life out there, Corey. Just saying.
Yep. Until they go to San Francisco and lose by 30.
Wow, daggone. Just hateful right off the start. Here on the broadcast.
Off the top rope.
Jeez, right off the top rope.
Macho Man with the flying elbow.
Starting 2023 with force, Corey Curtis from News 2. All right, Corey, so we know the winner-take-all game for the AFC South coming up on Saturday between the Titans and the Jags. This is the first time that we've talked to you since Josh Dobbs and his performance in the Titans' loss to the Cowboys the other night. Obviously, it's a loss. They've lost 6 games in a row. What did you make, though, of the way that Josh Dobbs played? And perhaps maybe how that influences your thoughts on this game coming up against Jacksonville on Saturday.
Well, I don't know that a 13-point performance has ever inspired more hope than this one. Because, and I think that's what gets lost sight of, is that they still only scored 13 points. And they're going to need to score more than that down in Jacksonville to win. But, look, the overwhelming sentiment is correct, and that is they can function as an NFL offense with Josh Dobbs at quarterback. Now, I think a lot of people are pushing the cart before the horse, saying Josh Dobbs can be QB1 and blah, blah. He's played one game, all right? He had 17 passes before this one. There was a lot to like. There was stuff to not like. But it looked much more functional than Malik Willis was prepared to give them at this point in his early career. And they had 3 consecutive drives where they had 30-yard pass plays. That's a different world than they were in with Malik Willis at quarterback, and it's a much easier world to win in. I think did Traylon finish with 5 touches in the football game? I think 4 catches in a run. That's more along the lines of what you need. He needs to be able to touch the football, and the bottom line is this. This is the whole crux of the thing. With Josh Dobbs in at quarterback, they have somebody not Dan Fouts back there, Dan Marino. It's Josh Dobbs, but he can get the ball to their playmakers, and it's not all on Derrick Henry to do it with Dobbs in there at quarterback instead of Willis. So Mike Vrabel's got his reasons for waiting to name the starter. They're all ridiculous. Anybody can see Dobbs gives them a better chance to win this football game.
Yeah, and that's that is an interesting point. I do wonder, like, is Vrabel just gonna this week say, "Yeah, we'll see," or will it be maybe today, like, yeah, Dobbs is the guy? I mean, because first of all, if you're the Jaguars, you aren't spending 5 seconds on Malik Willis film, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and I guess you could look at it from the I don't know, Malik Willis confidence standpoint, but why does it matter what Vrabel says if he's not getting the ones reps anyway, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think he understands the score. And I'm with you. I'm with you on everything you said, Corey, about Dobbs. And the bottom line is, you can see the difference. Like, you can run plays and hope for a quarterback to give you some pre-snap diagnosis and see the field and go through progressions. I mean, it just rather than one read and tuck. I mean, it's a big difference.
Well, and Joe, and not just see it, but see it and do it. And I think that's, I think there's a lot of trust issues for Malik and what he's seeing at this point. And I get it. It moves fast out there, and it's complex, and they're smart. And they try to trick you. So I get why he may not trust everything he sees. But Dobbs has been around long enough to see it and rip it, and that's a difference.
So the first game, the first meeting, and certainly the grenade that Amy Adams dropped that week, I believe, absolutely was a big factor. But just purely on the roster, because I was trying to figure this out earlier. I'm looking at it now. So the Titans, we know they did not have Danico Autry. They did not have David Long. They did not have Christian Fulton. And they also had Jeff Simmons in the midst of kind of giving it a go on that ankle, but he's not going to now have that extra rest. How much better, and we don't know if Long's going to be there, but presuming Long is the last return from IR, how much better is that defense? And is that defense a defense capable of going to win this game Saturday night?
I think that's also the game Amani Hooker dinged up his knee in as well.
He left that game, right.
Yeah. And so, look, number one, it has to make a big difference because, you've got to be able to get pressure in Trevor Lawrence's, face because, he's an athletic guy who can move as well. But they've got to cover Zay Jones and Evan Ingram better than they did. I mean, that's all there is to it. Those guys were too open. Now, they had guys make plays. I mean, Evan Ingram made a contested catch for a touchdown. Zay Jones made that unbelievable catch before half for a touchdown. So they've had guys make plays. But, David Long, I want to say, is elite speed sideline to sideline at middle linebacker, and it makes a difference for the Titans. And so if they could get him back, look, Monty Rice and Jack Gibbons had 23 tackles last week against the Dallas Cowboys, but Ezekiel Elliott's not as quick as Etienne is right now, and so you've gotta have that. So I think that they can be better. I think that we cannot discount the Jags in the fact that they're just playing really good football right now. Is unbelievable as it may seem to us that the guys who scream Duval are actually playing well. They're playing well. You draft in the top 5 long enough, you should have some good players, even just getting lucky at some point. So Balky may have, lucked upon some good players. And they're playing well. Doug Peterson's a Super Bowl winning coach. And he knows how to use offensive pieces, and you're seeing it. So they're going to have to come out and play well. And, the goal to me defensively is 20 points.
Corey Curtis with us from News 2 here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Corey, what did you make of Vrabel's strategy to rest some guys, to sit some guys last week in the Cowboys game that have been dealing with some injuries? And how beneficial do you think that could be on Saturday, particularly for a guy like a Jeffrey Simmons who's been dealing with the ankle all season long?
Well, look, I know it's painful because, there are fans who have every right to be upset. It's like I always get upset, with load management from guys like John, LeBron in the NBA. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you're hurt, it's one thing, but, just to not play all the games when fans are coming to pay that you see is ridiculous. But this, to me, was a special scenario where your season has come down to one game. You're approaching 90 players used again. And, some of your key players are banged up, and your season comes down to one game. And Mike Vrabel does not get paid to beat the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night. He gets paid to win the Super Bowl. And winning on Saturday night on News 2 against the Jacksonville Jaguars is the path to getting to the Super Bowl. So it's absolutely the right move. I get why Doug Peterson kept playing his guys down in Jacksonville, because they're rolling and you want to keep them going. So I understand all that, but I think for the Titans, it's, I think it's the right move. We'll see how they play in the football game. But if Jeffrey Simmons can be 10% better than he's been, then that can be a big difference. And we know the difference Danico Autry can make on the field defensively as well. So giving him another chance to get healthy is even better. And if Derrick Henry can be 5% fresher than he was, then maybe a 20-yard run is a 50-yard run. So I get all of it, and I think the decision making, the process is sound there.
So Corey, obviously we don't know who the GM is going to be. We don't know a lot of things about the offseason, but
I have not been offered the job yet, by the way.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
I'm not. You're still on my list of candidates, though, so I would not. Don't get discouraged. How much do you think that this performance and this outcome may influence the decision of whoever? And of course, Vrabel is going to be a key, decision maker on everything. But just in terms of the idea of a run back or not next year.
It's a good question. I think I don't think the outcome of this game, to me, should make a ton of difference, because Tannehill's not playing quarterback, and you basically now have 5 backups starting on the offensive line. So it's tough to get a real gauge for what your roster is when, that's what you're going out, offensively with. By the way, those 5 guys I thought did a pretty good job against a really talented Dallas defense. So, I mean, they had their moments. There's no question, but they played hard and they battled. I think the overwhelming sentiment for hiring a GM isn't going to be what the Titans roster is or what their draft position is or even how much money Amy Adams-Strunk is offering. It's how much power do they have, okay? Because if the head coach is over the GM, that is going to severely limit your pool of candidates. Because no matter how much a guy wants to be a GM, if he's qualified and he's in that loop of guys who are up for jobs, he's not going to take that job, okay? You're not the GM if you're told what groceries to buy. You're not. You're Uber Eats, okay? And I don't think a guy is trained to be Uber Eats. He wants to be the chef.
Wow. Well done by Corey Curtis from News 2. Joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Corey, great stuff as always. We appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. Happy New Year, and enjoy this game coming up on Saturday on News 2. Going to be a doozy out there.
Yeah. You know what? I'm excited about it.
Me too.
I'm excited. I think it can be close. And like I said, the Jags are playing really well. And, we can't look past that, as unbelievable as that may seem.
No question about it. Corey, thanks, man. Appreciate you being with us.
All right, go Lions.
Thank you very much. Corey Curtis, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans and the Jags, 615-737-1025. Looking ahead to that game more coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
It's a new year and a new game. Robby and Rexrode from 6 to 9.
I don't know whether to be proud of you or to tell you to leave the room. Both would be appropriate.
Chase and Michelle from 9 to 11.
Did you look at what the other teams were doing?
That's a player I want to keep an eye on.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace from 11 to 2.
He's the best running back in the league.
That's one you really need to win.
This is the way we were built.
And Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman from 2 to 6.
Really the greatest player in the history of the team?
It's your new weekday lineup now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Trevor Maddox joins us now, ESPN college football analyst. What's your assessment of the offensive coordinating and play calling of the Titans? Because that's usually what a lot of fans are mad about.
I hate it. The impression I get in watching those games is that they're running the system and making adjustments instead of identifying what the players can and can't do and then making sure that they do those things first. That's the impression that I get, because they'll do some things that work, and then they'll go do some things that are in the system, but these players don't do well, and they've never done them well. And so I wonder about that. There's so many options to create counters off of things that they do that would fit into what these guys can do, and I don't see it being done enough. And when it is done, it works.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
For the love of Tennessee at dawn. For the love of the fight. For the love of having nowhere else you'd rather be. For the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
The choice is yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off, or get 18 months of no payments, so the first payment is not until spring of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fansville, where the refs are always wrong and Dr. Pepper is always right. Always. Where the mountains are capped with cooler ice and children learn the 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper before they learn the alphabet. Smart. It's the one place where a man is a 6 unless he's wearing face paint. He's a 10. And where fans deserve a Dr. Pepper no matter if they win or lose. But we're gonna win. Get ready for anything to happen this college football season on Fansville by Dr. Pepper. The one fans deserve. Grab some today.
Want to weigh in on the conversation? It's a brain booster. Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Good morning.
Good morning. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
I have the radio on. I'm listening to
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Tomorrow, it's your chance to participate in Pred's Pick to Click, brought to you by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty and Superbook Sports. If you correctly guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game tomorrow night, you win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Again, your next chance to participate is tomorrow morning at 8:45. Looking forward to that. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. We are live from our 102.5 The Game studio, sponsored by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook every day. Our video streaming brought to you by Superbook. Tennessee Superbook is the #1 sports book in Las Vegas. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you. Thanks to Corey Curtis for being with us in the last segment. And it is interesting, like the viewpoint on Dobbs heading into this game. Obviously, it's a winner-take-all game for the AFC South on Saturday night, Joe. Dobbs, I thought, played pretty well given the circumstances against the Cowboys last week. And now, with Derrick Henry back in there, Traylon Burks, another week healthier back in there, a week of practice for Josh Dobbs in preparation time. I'm very interested to see what the Titans can do in the passing game in this matchup. I said it earlier, and I believe it. Like the Titans, if they're going to win the game, I think they need an excellent performance from Derrick Henry. But beyond that, you're going to need to be able to move the ball in the passing game, and that part of it offensively with Dobbs in this week is really intriguing, and we'll see how he can do preparing as the starter for a full week and with more time under his belt in this system.
Yeah, we'll see what it means for him. We'll see what Derrick Henry back means for him. We'll see, I guess with the offensive line, like Corey said, like you're not changing much there. Nicholas Petit-Frere could be back, which, would be, I think, an upgrade. LaRaven Clark had some good, some bad. Petit-Frere's had some bad lately too, but that would help, I think, to get him back from the ankle injury. But I think that this is a huge. Let me ask this. Let me say this as a question. Given the offensive line, Dobbs still just got here, and all the issues, if the Titans do come out with, a good plan and can keep Jacksonville off balance, it can have offensive balance, and of course, ultimately can score points in this game. This question only applies if they win, and they're going to have to score some points. If Todd Downing figures that out, how much is forgiven from this year?
Are you talking about with the coaching staff or the fan base?
Fan base.
Oh, no. None?
No.
I don't think a whole lot.
Because I think he's one of the most important people in the building this week.
I agree.
I think Todd Downing is, and I think that if, again, we have to see it, to show it to me. Like the last time I thought he had a great day was, before the hashtag plane from Green Bay took off.
Yeah.
Okay, for Nashville. But he's a huge, huge storyline. So you're saying it doesn't matter. They go out there and all of a sudden it looks fantastic. People will still find a way to it must have been, somebody else calling the plays, right? I guess that's probably true.
Well, a couple of things. If they go out there and they look fantastic and they win this game, the Josh Dobbs discussion is going to get ramped up pretty quickly here with the Titans fan base. And number two, I just – not with everybody. We always talk about how do you accurately gauge the way a fan base feels, right, with social media. The people that are upset are the ones yelling the loudest. How many people aren't saying anything that aren't really that upset? I mean, that's a general life thing that we try to keep in mind. But just the reaction that we get on the text line, the phone calls, social media, it's all I can really base it on. And I just feel like that they've reached the point with Todd Downing where they're just ready to move on, regardless of what it looks like. I mean, I guess, Titans get the AFC title game, Super Bowl, then maybe that could change. But I just feel like a lot of the Titans fan base is dug in on Todd Downing, in my mind.
Well, the good news is if they get to the Super Bowl and their offense is amazing, yeah, you're right, the Dobbs discussion. But I guess if that's the case, then someone will probably hire him away as a head coach, and either way, you'll be rid of him.
Maybe so.
Fans.
Maybe so.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, it's I've been pretty consistent all year. He's overblamed. I really believe that. I believe he's overblamed, and it is the same thing. It's a football guarantee, really. It is an absolute staple of football fandom and just football analysis that the OC gets overblamed a ton. But also, I mean, that is one of the big offseason questions, and I think it's got to be a real consideration for Mike Vrabel to just ask yourself the question of, is this your best possible situation at such a critical spot? But in the meantime, what a huge week for Downing, an opportunity, just for his own his own career too, wherever it goes after this. I mean, this is a tough combination of elements, but the bar is to the point where I think if you can figure out a way to get 21 points, you might win this huge game on national TV Saturday night.
Well, yeah, and obviously you're going to have to play better defensively than last time than you were out there against Jacksonville. I think the Titans will. I think they will play better defensively than they did the last time they saw Jacksonville. But you're right. I still think in order to win this game, you're probably going to have to get into the 20s if you're the Titans, which, I mean, look, it's the NFL. It sounds like, well, the 20s, sure. Yeah, they should be able to do that, no problem. But look at this team, look at the roster, and look at the body of work that we've seen so far this year. That's going to be a challenge for this Titans team. Tim on the text line says, even if Downing puts together a great plan, it just proves he's inconsistent and still doesn't deserve to be the offensive coordinator. Another texter says, one game with a practice squad quarterback does nothing to overcome 2 years' worth of evidence. What are you thinking, Joe? This from a texter on the text line.
Yeah, again, I'm not thinking, oh, Todd Downing is great, everybody. I think I personally have a more positive evaluation of Todd Downing as OC than a lot of people, because I think the Todd Downing's personnel situation has been almost a 180 from what Arthur Smith had, if you really look at going down the list. Does that mean I think that Todd Downing is the same level of OC as Arthur Smith? No, I absolutely do not. I don't think he's a great OC. I think he just doesn't have the same, and it's an intangible. It's a hard thing to describe. If you really want to dig in on stuff,
let's
all acknowledge that Todd Downing has mountains of information we don't have on every single play call, and he knows football well. It's his life, it's his business, it's all he does. But at the same time, you can, as a consumer of these things, you can get that. It's like there's a feel and you can see what an offensive coordinator is doing to the other side when he's manipulating a game. And Arthur Smith did that. And Todd Downing has not done that enough. I thought in the Green Bay game, for example, he did. I think he's had some good days as OC. The people who want to focus everything on him as the problem, to me, are being silly. I mean, it's silly. It really is. But that doesn't mean that he should be the OC after this season. I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying, the guy has had some good moments, some good days. He's had incredible limitations, incredible roster issues that aren't his fault. And I'm interested to see what he comes up with this week. Well, I think he can tie his own shoes in the press box.
Well, and the fact of the matter is, like, I'm kind of in line with the texter, and from this standpoint, like I don't think that if the Titans go out and win this game, that necessarily changes the body of work on Todd Downing to where I'd be comfortable. Like, yeah, just give him the keys to be the OC next year. But I will say, like, if the Titans generate enough points to win this game offensively with that offensive line and with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, and regardless of what you think of Josh Dobbs, the fact is he was on a Detroit Lions practice squad, and the Titans snatched him up, and he's not a starting caliber NFL quarterback, or at least has not been to this point. The fact of the matter is, if they win this game and they score enough points offensively and they look like they know what they're doing out there, I mean, you have to give Downing some credit for that. Again, that doesn't change the overall picture in my mind. Like, I think the Titans would be well served to go in a different direction this offseason, offensive coordinator. But you can't just not give him credit if they're able to figure this out.
Yeah, that's really all I'm asking, because I think it will be, if they do perform well, if he does have a good day, which is possible, which has happened, I will enjoy the mental pretzeling to not give him credit from some.
I will enjoy the Josh Dobbs is the next Aaron Rodgers takes that we get next week.
There's that too. I tell you, man, Josh Dobbs.
It's a big opportunity for him.
It is. And again, it's like the bar is, it was just low when you look at the offense with a rookie who shouldn't have been out there, but there was a marked difference. I'm really interested to see. To me, if Dobbs doesn't give them the ball, doesn't have one of those late throws, whatever. I mean, he almost, he turned it over a couple times, but that late, they were kind of, desperate, whatever. That's not that big of a deal. But if he doesn't give the Jags the ball, I think he has a real chance to win this game.
We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Titans and the Jags, 615-737-1025. We'll also get into Tennessee's win against Clemson and the Orange Bowl coming up next as well. All that ahead. But first, let me tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. One of the things I love about betting on the NFL is that I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's cool about FanDuel Sportsbook is you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. And it's perfect for a little Monday Night Football tonight. And tonight should be awesome. The Bills and the Bengals on Monday Night Football. I'm going to go with the Bills to win this game. I think it's going to be a great game, and it's going to be really close. But I'll take the Bills on the money line. I'll also take Josh Allen as an anytime touchdown scorer running the football. But you can take it any way you want to take it. Same game parlays, just one of the reasons I bet with FanDuel. They've got great live betting options, great odds boosts and specials every single day. And there's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay bet. So lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today with promo code ROB for your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is not withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
This is Mikhail Kralin, and this is Smashville.
The rebound shoveled in by Mikhail Gronlund, and the Predators have tied it up on the power play.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025, The Game.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, it's Chef Phillip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try our new Nashville hot fish and chips. Beer battered black cod served over crispy fries or tots with Omni's own Nashville hot season blend. Served with chipotle slaw and malt vinegar tartar sauce.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair on your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
If you missed the latest on Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
What's going to happen with this show? Derek and Willie aren't going anywhere. A question that I have been asked since day one, since I took over, is when are you going to give Caroline Fenton her own show? Well, I'm going to do that right now. Caroline is going to move into this role. She has done an awesome job with Stillman and Company. So I'm plucking her away to feature her a little bit more, and she deserves it. She's worked her butt off. She's been a great addition to the team, and I know she's at Sonny's Patio Pub right now. And Caroline, you deserve this, and I'm excited to hear Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace and all the potential that it has.
Well, thank you, Chaser, and thank you for believing in me and bringing me into this new role that I am so ready for.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. Can't get enough Vanderbilt basketball?
Intercepted right all by himself for a one-hand flush.
Your home for the Commodores is 93.3 Classic Hits.
Put it up. It's good. Count it.
Join Coach Jerry Stackhouse and his team on their journey through the SEC.
Pulls a trigger. Yes, from three.
Check out Vandy Hoops on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Terry from Clarksville on the text line says, if you fire Todd Downing, you should have someone in mind. Who does Mike Vrabel hire? In my opinion, it's Kelly. Travis on the text line says, give credit where credit is due. Doesn't change the fact that he's still a goober. This from Travis on the text line. And Gene on the text line says, call me crazy and a homer, but assuming you don't have 4 turnovers, crazy DPI calls, holding calls on great Henry runs, an offensive line that doesn't play like statues 50% of the time, throwing deep passes to keep the safeties honest, players coming back, and of course, Todd Downing having better in-game awareness, yes, the Titans will win 28-14. Crazy, I know. This from Gene on the text line. That was all over the place on the text line. We enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Now wait a minute. I was just reading this one. So you're saying as long as JD doesn't do exactly Tannehill's done the last 3 games, the Titans will be okay. Okay. So the playoff games. and Josh Dobbs can come in, and we could all pray to the gods of Doug Flutie, catch some magic and go on a run, says Ricky. Yeah, I must say, like, it will be if they win. And again, I don't know what it means. Like, what is a good Josh Dobbs performance? I mean, I think you have to be realistic about, like you said, his place in the league. But also, like, like he's a guy. He's an example of, like, there are others too in this league who sometimes they just don't get a chance. They're just at a place where the starter stays healthy and they bounce around, and you're always looking to upgrade and things like that. And the Steelers went through some different guys, and he bounced around. But he's an example of, like, I think someone who at the very least is helping himself be someone's QB2. Certainly, if he plays well in this game as well. But I mean, I thought he helped himself against the Cowboys, frankly. But you also have to. I'll be interested if they win, if he plays well. Is there really going to be a groundswell for him to be the starting quarterback?
Well,
well,
you know how Vol Twitter can be. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Well,
yeah, they got after TD. Remember, they got after TD.
I mean,
well, I'm not saying Vol Twitter. I know Vol Twitter is going to put him in Canton if he wins Saturday. I mean, but. I don't know. It's to me, he is making a case to be QB2 for the Titans next year.
For sure. Look, I mean, I watched him play the other night, and I thought, oh, well, he's definitely good enough to be a backup quarterback. I mean, there's no question about it. Now, Corey Curtis has pointed this out, and I think it's important to keep in mind. And I think it shows you kind of where we were with this team, and specifically where we were with the quarterback position. People are and were excited about Josh Dobbs after the game. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have reason to be excited, because I thought he played well. But again, we're talking about an offense that scored 13 points in that game in the National Football League in 2022. Now it's 2023. But 13 points. Like, it's still, the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is how many points you put up offensively. It's still kind of an abysmal performance offensively when you think about just the points scored in today's NFL. So I do think that there is a little bit of, all right, yes, Josh Dobbs, I think, is clearly the better option than Malik Willis. And again, that's where we were with this team. How do you just put your best foot forward, give yourselves the best shot to win coming up on Saturday? And I think the Titans have done that with Josh Dobbs, and we'll see how it plays out. But I still think this offense is going to be pretty limited in what they can do on Saturday, and it's going to require, like, the key to the game, Joe, we can talk about the offense all day, and they're going to have some production, but really, like, what version of the Titans defense shows up on Saturday? If it's their top level, then they're going to have a chance, and maybe a good chance, to win the game. If it's not, they could be in some trouble.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's the amazing thing is it felt like, wow, okay. After that 13-point performance. Yeah, Cowboys are very talented, but that's how the bar has gotten so low with the Titans offense. And again, it's just amazing. Whenever you want to go back 2 years when they were scoring 31 points a game, that's how much you can go downhill in this league in a short period of time with some bad luck, but also with some bad choices. But they're not gonna, they're not gonna score a lot in this game. If they can get to 20, 24, that's probably about their ceiling. And what's their high this year? What is their high in points this year?
I believe 27.
20, okay, they got 27.
I think it was Green Bay.
The Green Bay game?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, so they haven't hit 31 time, which, again, that's a kind of, although this has been a little bit of a return of the defense here in the NFL. The numbers are down across the board, but still, like, you should be able to get into the high 20s and 30s if you're a competent NFL offense, and this one just isn't. So it's going to be the defense and it's going to be, I think Autry and Simmons, I think those guys wrecking this game is the path to this, not giving up the explosive plays, red zone defense, all the keys in football and turnovers, but those two guys being Batman and Robin up front for the Titans, like they haven't been in a long time because of injury this year, is, to me, that's number one key.
Well, and offensively, look, I don't know what the best version of Robert Woods is anymore, but whatever that is, whatever the best version of Nick Westbrook-Akine is, and whatever the current best version of Traylon Burks is, like, you need that on Saturday. You can't have receivers dropping the football like they did the other night. Like, you can't have 3 drops in the game at key times on third down. Like, when you get a 3rd and 8 and the quarterback hits you in the hands, you got to catch the ball on Saturday. And look, you're going to have to make some plays maybe that you're not even expected to make. Go make some plays for your quarterback. And I know that this receiving core is limited, and really, in terms of going and making plays for your quarterback, Burks is about the only guy that I feel good about doing that at wide receiver, and I recognize that heading into the game. But whatever the best version is for this receiving core, and it may not be very good, but whatever it is, they need it on Saturday.
You didn't notice that 40-yard catch from Rayson McMath?
Yeah, it's 39, actually.
Tell him, Robbie. Tell him.
Oh, boy. I'm just saying. Yeah, you sneak one. Can you sneak one by the Jags with him?
Maybe so.
You have to, and you have to get the ball to Traylon Burks. You have to get the ball to Chicken Conquo, too. It's not like this offense is totally devoid of playmakers. I mean, if the Titans –
be nice to play Chicken Conquo, too.
That would be helpful. But, I mean, if the Titans can – whatever it is, I mean, it's probably the biggest key is Derrick Henry having success so that your play action actually freezes linebackers, but that moving the pocket, somehow actually blocking up front, some good pass rushers, whatever it is, I think if you give Josh Dobbs time, he'll be able to make some plays and move the ball down the field. I mean, that's the thing. You at least feel like you have a quarterback who can play in this league right now at quarterback, and that helps. It'll be interesting to hear today if Vrabel just acknowledges that Dobbs is starting, or if he still does that. Yeah, we'll see. I'm still trying to figure everything out.
I mean, do you think that there's any legitimate reason to not do it today if you're Vrabel? Like, I mean, Jacksonville has to know that Dobbs is going to start, right?
I think the only reason that he would, the only reason he would do it is as his own sort of code, which is kind of like his injury code too, right? Which is like, I'm just never going to give you information. So if in his mind it's like, well, I'm just not even gonna go there because I don't like to go there, and I'm not gonna go there this time, then that's fine. But I think it's silly, but he may do that. But that would be the only reason. To me, it's like just because he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to tell you who my quarterback is.
Oh, by the way, in terms of the AFC playoff picture, the Titans do win this game. Right now, the Chargers are the 5 seed. So today, I mean, it would be the Titans and the Chargers in the first round of the playoffs at Nissan Stadium. Like we said, the Chargers, you just saw them a couple of weeks ago. The Chargers are at 10-6. They're red hot right now, and they're taking on the mighty Denver Broncos to close out the season. So my guess is the Chargers are probably going to end up at 11-6 and the 5 seed in the AFC. And if you win this game against Jacksonville, if you're the Titans, probably looking at Titans and Chargers in the first round of the playoffs would be my guess.
Yeah, and you certainly would rather. That's a tough part about. Although who knows how the Ravens-Bengals game's going to go.
Yep.
But the Ravens right now would be the 5 had they just not lost to the freaking Steelers last night.
Yep.
So that opens the door for not a great matchup. I mean, certainly, Justin Herbert is not a great matchup. But again, tell me that if the Titans get to that game, it's because probably of what we've been talking about, right? A defense that looks like it's back to being ferocious. And so if that's the case, you're telling me that there's 0 chance at home against the Chargers?
I'm not going 0.
Okay. You're going low, though.
I mean, I'm going low, but you got a chance, right?
I mean, it all again, like right now, I would agree. Like right now, I would agree low, but I want to see what they look like Saturday.
Yeah.
You get that new information of a team that finally, that wins this game in a what I think will be a very good Duval environment.
A lot of people in the pool,
and figure some things out. It might look a little better.
Coming up next, we'll get into Tennessee's Orange Bowl performance in the win against Clemson. We'll also get into a wild college football playoff semifinal weekend as well. All that next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman and Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guy.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
Trevor Maddox joins us now, ESPN college football analyst. What's your assessment of the offensive coordinating and play calling of the Titans? Because that's usually what a lot of fans are mad about.
I hate it. The impression I get in watching those games is that they're running the system and making adjustments instead of identifying what the players can and can't do and then making sure that they do those things first. That's the impression that I get, because they'll do some things that work, and then they'll go do some things that are in the system, but these players don't do well, and they've never done them well. And so I wonder about that. There's so many options to create counters off of things that they do that would fit into what these guys can do, and I don't see it being done enough. And when it is done, it works.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Signs First, Nashville's trusted vehicle wrap and graphics one-stop shop. From one-off custom applications to entire company fleets, Signs First delivers superior quality both locally and nationally since 1991. Be creative. Get noticed. Signs First. Go to sfnash.com.
So many choices. Be careful. She is dangerously seductive. Tastes too good to be whiskey. Oil Fire Whiskey is now in Tennessee. If they don't have it, ask them to get it or go somewhere else. Oil Fire. There's nothing quite like it.
Robby Stanley.
Sometimes the overthinking that takes place, pretty mind-boggling.
Joe Rexrode.
Thought there was an issue. There's not an issue. There's no issue. They're doing wonderful.
Wake up and hang out with Robby and Rexrode every weekday morning from 6 to 10.
Taking care of business this early in the morning.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I do not want to deprive people of a close-up of my face.
Watch live on YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm your game day face paint, and you just rubbed me right into your eye. Now your vision is super irritated. And so is that driver you just hit. And if you have cut rate car insurance, these damages will rob you blind. So switch to Allstate, save $744, and get protected from mayhem like me.
Average annual savings of new customers surveyed in 2021 who reported auto savings when switching to Allstate. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
He's got big takes.
It's not that freaking hard. Hand the ball to Henry.
Small takes.
You have to defend your decision.
But all takes.
They win, they lose. Just invested a lot into this game. I thought it was the worst press conference.
He is Jared Stillman.
A guy that sits in a room and does his own thing for 4 hours a day.
Weekdays from 2 to 6. Stillman and Company. Presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're locked into Robby and Rexrode.
Every morning, first thing.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Joe, the Vols get it done in the Orange Bowl. They take down Clemson 31-14. Joe Milton, 19 of 28, 251 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game. You were there. You were there live and in person down there in Miami. What did you make of the Vols' win and the performance of Joe Milton in the game against Clemson on Friday night?
Well, I think that the offense overall, it was not a great night. In terms of just 5 3-and-outs. And, look, time of possession is meaningless. But if you have that many 3-and-outs, that means it's time of possession also, not because you're just, some games they have terrible time of possession because they're scoring so fast. This one, it was like they actually were not sustaining drives enough. And I thought with Milton, there were a couple sacks, that I thought he needs better pocket awareness. And there were, a couple bad reads, I thought, on some read option, and stuff like that. And I'm trying to think of like actually throwing the football. He almost threw a pick when Keaton fell, and he had a couple that were off. I mean, he had a few that were off the mark, but I would have to say that overall, that was a very encouraging performance by him. Like, to me, yes, he hit those bombs. So, to Squirrel White and then to Keaton to blow up in the game. And that's great because that's the big thing. The Joe overthrows. Can you limit the Joe overthrows? But to me, man, those 2 red zone TDs where he saw, and in one of them, that's one thing Joey Halsey was talking about after the game is the Squirrel White play in particular. It was a really good job of manipulating the safety with his eyes, giving himself enough space, and then ripping it. But I mean, the first one to Brew McCoy was like a whoa.
Oh yeah,
that throw was like
a rocket.
Holy crap! Yeah, it's like he's gonna break some fingers, man. But overall, like, I don't know what it's gonna be. I think it's just like it's so hard when you come off a Hendon Hooker season like this. Like, you expect a step back. Like, I had some Vol Twitterers come after me because, like, Joe Milton has a way higher ceiling. How could you say he's probably not going to have a season like Hooker next year? It's like, because no one should expect that. Like, it's hard to consider anyone having a season like Hendon Hooker just had, But I think Milton's a starter. I think he cemented that, or at least, the coaches are going to have a competition for sure. And we don't know what Nico is going to be like in camp and stuff. I don't know. And spring ball is going to be fascinating to watch Nico out there,
slinging a lot of eyeballs on that game, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. But it's going to be hard for a true freshman to take. This dude is going to his 3rd year in the offense. His teammates freaking love him. He's just got a natural, leadership, personality, swagger to him that's infectious, and like everything is in his favor. He's going to be the starting quarterback next year, at least to start, and then we'll see. But overall, I feel like even people who were kind of anti-Joe Milton, and I know some are, I would think a lot would have been swayed by that performance. I know one Vols fan who came up and talked to David Ubb and me after the game. Great guy. Very appreciated his support. Was like, yeah, but don't you think Nico, really? Nico? And I'm like, no, I don't think Nico should be. I mean, like Bryce Young had the year. CJ Stroud had the year. There's the top, maybe the top 2 picks in the draft. You know what they both have in common? They didn't have to play right away. And I think that would be the ideal timeline for the Vols too.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Joe Milton, I thought, played well for the most part. Squirrel White, I think you can pretty much tell watching him play. Really, as the season went on, his role expanded and got bigger. But, I mean, he was awesome in this game. I think Squirrel White's going to be really good for the Vols. And the fact of the matter is, 11-2, you win the Orange Bowl, you get into New Year's 6, and in the same season you beat Alabama, LSU, and Clemson. I mean, just think about that sentence and saying that a couple of years ago to a Tennessee fan. I mean, they would have told you were nuts. So 3 out of the last 4 national title winners you beat this year, and 11-2 in Josh Heupel's second year. I mean, it was a heck of a season for Tennessee football, and I said it earlier, I don't know if they can match that next year. We'll wait and see, but if you're a Tennessee fan, you've got to be over the moon with where this football program is right now.
Yeah, you got to be able to, like, soak this in a little bit, like you said, man. I mean, the Alabama game alone, like Hendon Hooker wrote I liked what he wrote in the Players Tribune. That was cool. And, it was largely focused around that game. That game will live on. Like, that's a all-timer. But, yeah, think about that. Alabama and Clemson in the same season. Orange Bowl champs. Top 5 finish. Also, the 3 of the 4 last national champs Tennessee beats, as Heupel pointed out, LSU being the 3rd. Like, no one realistically thought any of these things were going to happen this year. And after Heupel's first season, there was a lot of optimism. But this was a crazy good season. I think a step back is absolutely possible next year. But the foundation is being put down, I think, for Tennessee football to have some great teams and to be championship level type program. And, ultimately, what fast forwarded this? It was Hendon Hooker. Hendon Hooker fast forwarded all of this, okay? And that's going to be the question every year is who do you have at quarterback? And that's what's exciting to me is like I feel like Nico, and we don't know, there's 5-star quarterbacks who don't work out, but I feel like he's going to be in a position to succeed, and you could have a couple really special seasons with him at quarterback, and I'm talking 24 and 25.
Yep, very well could be. And then on the college football playoff front, Joe, I mean, potentially the greatest day in the history of the college football playoff. I said it earlier. They've had some great national title games, and Alabama and Georgia was awesome, and a couple of Clemson-Alabama matchups were really good. But just the semifinal for sure, it was the best day in the history of the college football playoff. TCU takes down Michigan, and Georgia squeaks one out against Ohio State, setting up the national title game a week from tonight between TCU and Georgia. Just 2 epic games in the college football playoff semifinal.
Yeah, incredible. And I think we saw kind of what we thought Ohio State was supposed to be this year and kind of thought maybe they were before Michigan punched them in the mouth. And then you kind of saw in the other game that maybe Michigan, hey, incredible performance against Ohio State, but man, did they get physically beat by TCU. And I did not expect that to happen. And good call by you on TCU winning. I will also say, too, it may be correct because we'll never have the perfect angle that touchdown pass to Michigan that was taken off the board wasn't a touchdown pass. Like that may be the correct call.
Yeah.
But that's not how replay is supposed to work. Like they called it a touchdown, and so I didn't see anything that clearly told me it wasn't one.
Agreed.
And so that's exactly how you're not supposed to do replay. And obviously, I mean, what about just that play in the game? They fumble the next play in the end zone, and if they get that touchdown there, who knows? But I will say again, you still also had many chances if you're Michigan to stop TCU and to do anything defensively with this supposedly great defense. And my God, TCU torched them. 51
points for TCU. Georgia gave up 41 to Ohio State. It's a 13.5 point spread for the national title game. I don't know. Like I could easily see Georgia figuring some things out and maybe winning in a rout in this game, but like the days of underestimating TCU, I think should probably be over out there. They're pretty good.
Put some respect on the Frog's name.
I know. And I really frankly, I really hope that a week from today we get a great game. I mean, I could see where Georgia somehow is like angry from a semifinal win and like batters them in that game, but they've got some magic. They do. They got a quarterback who's a heck of a runner and makes big plays. And again, the overall physicality of that team, I just didn't expect it, but I don't think it was fluky.
No, it was going to be really interesting to see how that plays out a week from tonight. That's going to do it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode, the inaugural edition of Chase and Michelle coming up next. This is 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch The Game.
Sliding across, making the stop, UC Sarah.
We talk The Game.